Chapter 2303. It was a magnetic, mellow male voice that was so pleasant that it sounded like there was no other male voice in the world. It was accompanied by the sound of chi-chi-chi. Everyone saw that after the slender hand covered Boji's head, it crushed Boji's head in front of everyone. It was like crushing a mosquito, and the mosquito's blood gushed out. Boji's head instantly turned into a pool of blood like killing a mosquito. His body was still there, but his head instantly exploded into a pool of blood. When this scene happened in front of everyone's eyes, it made everyone's hearts tremble violently. This unforeseen event happened so suddenly that even Boji himself didn't expect that someone would appear behind him. And after this person covered Boji's head with his hand, he crushed Boji's head. The speed of Boji's death was so fast that everyone present couldn't react in time. Everyone's hearts trembled violently. In that instant, everyone present was so shocked that they almost suffocated. The head of a living human being was actually. At that moment, everyone saw a handsome man who was half a head taller than Boji suddenly appear behind Boji. He was wearing black casual clothes. After the handsome man crushed Boji's head in front of everyone present, he kicked away Boji's corpse in front of him and walked towards Yunjian. Everyone at the scene was thoroughly frightened. Oh my god. This is too scary. Who is this person? He actually. Jie Wei and Eva stood on the 5th floor and watched the scene unfold in front of them. When they saw Ce walk towards Yunjian, the two of them were so scared that they didn't know how to describe it. Terrifying was the most appropriate word to describe Ce. Then they saw Ce walk directly to Yunjian in front of everyone. He grabbed Yunjian's hand and walked out. Everyone present watched as Ce grabbed Yunjian's hand and left. Only Horace called out to Yunjian right before she was taken away. Yunjian, you're the one who's leaving. Young lady, thank you. Although it wasn't Yunjian who avenged him in the end, this handsome man who suddenly appeared clearly had a close relationship with Yunjian. This handsome man killed Boji for Yunjian. Therefore, Horace watched Yunjian leave with grateful eyes. The war had ended before it even began. Yunjian blinked, taking a long time to come to her senses. When she finally reacted, Ce had already pulled Yunjian onto the bus back to Z country. On the way, Ce repeated what the Lord said to her. After hearing Ce's words, Yunjian already had a plan. Z country's eastern province. Yunjian had to go. She didn't know when the mysterious persons of Yunjian country's location of Yun, but Yunjian had already decided that she would go to Puluo City, disguise herself as an ordinary person, and look for the specific location of the channel. No matter what, as long as there was a glimmer of hope to find the mysterious person, Yunjian would not give up. She would make the mysterious person pay the price. Seeing Yunjian looking at the window outside the bus, Ce's deep eyes flashed. The next second, he put his handsome hand in front of Yunjian. Seeing an egg suddenly appear in his hand, Yunjian held back her breath and suddenly froze. Where did you get this? A little girl gave it to you just now. Eat it, Ce said. Just now, when Yunjian was absent-minded, a little girl ran to Ce and handed him an egg. Then she ran away. She was a lovely little girl. At this moment, Ce peeled the shell of the egg and handed it to Yunjian. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile version of reading website. Chapter 2304. Page 1/1. There seemed to be a surge of heat in her abdomen that connected her throat to her stomach, pushing the food she had swallowed back from her abdomen. Yunjian had rarely noticed something like this. When the nausea hit her, she bent down almost reflexively to retch. It felt like something was about to come out from her abdomen, but nothing came out when she bent down to retch. Ce's eyes narrowed at the sight before he placed his hand on Yunjian's back as fast as he could and gave her a light pat. His brows knitted together as he spoke. His brows were furrowed as he asked, Xiaojian, what's wrong? It was only after he was sure that the egg was fine that Ce peeled it for Yunjian. Of course, Ce would not make such a low-level mistake. When the nausea passed, Yunjian stuffed the egg back into Ce's hand with a frown and pressed her lips together. I don't feel like eating meat recently. It's probably a stomachache. I'll be fine in 2 days. After Yunjian said that, Ce placed his hand on Yunjian's forehead with a frown to check Yunjian's temperature. After making sure that she did not have a fever, Ce retracted his hand and said sternly, "Come to the hospital with me when we get home." Ce's heart ached when he saw her retching. "Okay." Yunjian nodded. It was only in front of him that she could let go of all her toughness and just be a woman who was protected by him. In one's life, if one could find someone who was willing to give up his life for you, then one was very lucky. As for Yunjian, she was undoubtedly very lucky. In the vast and boundless universe, they were born together on Earth. They met and got to know each other among the more than 6 billion people on Earth. How much luck did it take for her to meet such a perfect person who was willing to give up his life for her? Ce kept his arm around Yunjian's shoulder throughout the journey, letting Yunjian fall asleep on his shoulder. When they returned to Longmen City, Ce brought Yunjian to the People's Hospital in Longmen City. In this era, mobile phones were not widely available yet, and it was even more impossible to register with a mobile phone. A city's People's Hospital was the best hospital in the entire city, so there were many people waiting in line all day to register manually at the People's Hospital. Before it was Yunjian's turn, Ce dragged her to the hospital for a walk. There were patients everywhere near the hospital. There were elderly people who were pushing wheelchairs outside the hospital to bask in the sun. There were also patients who had manually taken out registration numbers and were waiting to register like Yunjian and Ce. Although Yunjian was also a doctor, her expertise was limited to dealing with serious injuries. Some serious knife wounds, gunshot wounds, and other fatal external injuries. For example, she didn't know much about some diseases, but she knew a little about how to use medicine. When she was walking outside the hospital, she met an old man who was seriously ill. He was standing in the garden and telling stories to a group of children. She heard that these children would come here to listen to the old man's stories after school. The old man would tell stories to the children cheerfully all day long with a benevolent look on his face. Yunjian and Ce did not go up to him, merely watching from afar. Later, they overheard two passers-by talking to each other that the old man had just been diagnosed with cancer, and the hospital said that he only had 3 months left at most. The old man used to be a teacher and used his pension to help many poor children after he retired. Now that the old man was sick, these children would walk for 2 to 3 hours from the town to the hospital every day, just to listen to the old man's stories and accompany him on his final journey. Looking at the old man laughing with the children from afar, outsiders would not be able to tell that the old man was sick at all. Yunjian's lips curled into a red smile. After waiting for half an hour, it was Yunjian's turn to see the doctor. There were not many patients in the hospital who were admitted to this department, so she did not have to wait too long. The female doctor scanned Yunjian's body again and again with the equipment, examining her for a while. Finally, in front of Yunjian and Ce, the female doctor looked outside the door. Seeing that there was no one outside, she asked Yunjian and Ce, "You two are a couple, right? Have you slept together?" Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2305. The female doctor was about 25 or 26 years old. When she asked this question, a trace of redness flashed across her face. It was obvious that the female doctor did not have the experience of asking this question. As a doctor who treated patients, this female doctor had actually just graduated from university not long ago. Doctors weren't like nurses. Doctors spent a lot more time in university than nurses. Some people only needed to study for 4 years in university, but some doctors spent more time in university than the average university student. After all, as a doctor, it was not a joke if they accidentally caused a death. Therefore, they naturally studied more than some university students. This also caused this female doctor to only work in the hospital for about a year, even though she was already 25 or 26 years old. Therefore, whenever the female doctor needed to ask about some more private topics so that she could prescribe the right medicine, she would feel somewhat shy and unable to say it. Suddenly being asked this question, Yunjian was also stunned. However, before she could recover from her shock, Ce shamelessly grabbed Yunjian's hand and said without hesitation, "Of course." When she said these 2 words, Yin Jian could even hear a trace of pride in Si Yi's voice. Ahem. When these words came out, even the female doctor coughed a little awkwardly to try and alleviate the awkward atmosphere. After coughing twice, the female doctor rubbed her forehead and said, "Today, you two have been sleeping together. Recently you two don't sleep together too much. The little girl must have eaten something bad, and she's a little weak. That's why she's vomiting. I'll prescribe 2 medicines for the little girl. Don't ruin her body." When the female doctor said this, she could not help but rub her forehead again. She felt that her forehead was about to burst. However, when the female doctor's words reached Yin Jian's ears, Yin Jian was not stupid. She naturally understood what the female doctor meant. "Young man, you should restrain yourself. The young lady. Ahem, she can't take it." What she meant was that Si Yi's body was too vigorous? When Yin Jian heard this, her face turned red. Before going to Death Island, Si Yi was indeed 10 times a night. Her waist was about to break. After the female doctor said this, she also felt a little embarrassed. Fortunately, she lowered her head and used a pen to write a page in the medical record book. It was a very messy handwriting that outsiders could not understand. After she finished writing, the female doctor handed the medical record to Yin Jian and Si Yi. She coughed and said, "All right, go and get the medicine. You should restrain yourself for the next month. The little girl is still developing." Si Yi. Yin Jian pursed her lips slightly. She took the medical record from the female doctor and left with Si Yi. After Yin Jian and Si Yi left, they went straight home. After returning home, Yin Jian also took the medicine prescribed by the female doctor. She felt better, so she didn't think too much about it. Yin Jian had already returned to Longmen City. She did not care why the boss of the fox hunting organization, Long Shi, did not show up when he was supposed to accompany her to Death Island. Perhaps he was tied up with other matters. To Yin Jian, it was not important. Yin Jian planned to sneak into Puluo City in Eastern Province to keep an eye on the mysterious person's movements. She did not plan to go to the University of Electronic Science and Technology of China anymore. Even if she wanted to go, she would have to wait until everything was over. Longmen City Hospital, Longmen City. After a tiring day's work, the female doctor was about to take off her uniform and change back into her own clothes when she suddenly remembered that she had forgotten to press Yin Jian's stomach to check if she was pregnant when she was treating her in the afternoon. The young couple was together and even shared a room. Due to her shyness and lack of experience, she forgot to press the little girl's stomach for a moment. An experienced doctor could roughly check if a girl was pregnant by pressing her stomach. Fine, I'm such a fool. But it can't be such a coincidence, can it? The female doctor shook her head and stopped thinking about it. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile version website. Chapter 2306. Page 1/1. Yin Jian did not know that the female physician had forgotten to apply pressure on her stomach in a moment of confusion. She had been eating lightly these days. Before she left the hospital, the female physician had told her that she had a stomachache these 2 days, so she should eat more bland food when she ate. Nourishing her stomach was her top priority. After staying in Longmen City for 2 days, Yin Jian headed to Puluo City. She had an appointment with Si Yi. As the mysterious man's divinity was damaged by Si Yi a few years ago, he could not come to Earth directly in the near future. Yin Jian was in charge of going to Puluo City to secretly find out where the mysterious man would open the passageway between myriad continents and Puluo City. Si Yi, on the other hand, would return to Deity Continent to handle some matters that needed to be handled before returning to Earth to meet Yin Jian. Before that, however, Si Yi had left Yin Jian a crystal ball that could be used to contact him from Earth. The crystal ball was only the size of a pinky finger, a smaller version of a regular crystal ball. If Si Yi was in Deity Continent and Yin Jian could not reach him with her phone, she could crush the crystal ball and he would rush to her side at once. Country Z, Eastern Province, Puluo City. Eastern Province was very far away from Zhe Province. Puluo City in Eastern Province was a first-tier city in Country Z, both in terms of transportation and development. Comparing Puluo City in Eastern Province and Longmen City in Zhe Province, Pilyuo City was a first-tier city in Country Z while Longmen City was just an ordinary city. The two were not on the same level. For example, people in Pilyuo City usually had a monthly income of 6,000 to 7,000 yuan while people in Longmen City only had a monthly income of 1,000 to 2,000 yuan. This was the difference. The difference between a first-tier city and an ordinary city. Of course, the higher monthly income in Pilyuo City meant that the amount of money spent was also higher than Longmen City. And in a big place like Pilyuo City, there was no shortage of rich people. Among the three wealthiest families in Pilyuo City, the Luo family, the Wei family, and the Hong family, the Wei family, who ranked third, had found their long-lost youngest daughter. Therefore, when old Master Wei was happy, he held a banquet in a 5-star hotel in Pilyuo City and invited the upper class. It was 6 o'clock in the evening. At the entrance of the 5-star hotel, countless people from the upper class came to congratulate old Master Wei, who was standing at the entrance of the hotel. The Wei family was ranked third among the three richest families in Pilyuo City. His status was naturally not to be underestimated. Old Master Wei's youngest daughter, Wei Lin, went missing when she was 8 years old. Old Master Wei had been searching for his youngest daughter for 10 whole years. He had finally found the real lost daughter of the Wei family, Wei Lin. That was why they held such a grand banquet. Ha, please. Everyone, please. The Wei family's old master, Wei Xiao, cupped his hands and invited everyone who came to celebrate into the hotel. The scene was extremely lively. Only after all the guests had entered the venue did the main character appear. At this moment, old Master Wei Xiao's youngest daughter, Wei Lin, who had been lost for 10 years and was finally found, was brought to the scene. The young girl who entered the venue was just 18 years old. She was very beautiful, with a pair of big eyes that seemed to be able to speak. Her skin was so smooth and fair that women couldn't take their eyes off of it, coupled with her perfect high nose bridge and her captivating red lips. When old Master Wei Xiao's youngest daughter, Wei Lin, who had been lost for 10 years, was brought to the scene, the entire venue fell silent. Beautiful. Too beautiful. Too beautiful. The 18-year-old girl who entered the venue was so beautiful that everyone present forgot to breathe. Ha! Wei Xiao, you old thing, you actually gave birth to such a beautiful daughter. Unbelievable. A middle-aged man stared at the girl for a long time before speaking to Wei Xiao. Wei Xiao only smiled and didn't say anything. The young girl looked timid the entire time, as if she had never attended such a gathering before. The banquet ended. The young girl was brought to old Master Wei Xiao's room. Once the timid girl entered Wei Xiao's room, the timidity she had earlier was nowhere to be seen. That was right. The girl was none other than Yun Jian, who had come to Pilyuo City from Longmen City. Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations. Chapter 2307. Page 1/1. At this moment, Yun Jian's timid demeanor from the banquet had faded away. Her sudden change in demeanor made old Master Wei Xiao tremble. He looked to the side, avoiding Yun Jian's gaze. Only then was he able to resist Yun Jian's intense kingly aura. Yun Jian was not as timid as she was at the banquet just now. She wore a faint smile when her eyes met with Wei Xiao, the old master of the Wei family, after her fear and timidity faded away. Then, she took 2 steps toward Wei Xiao, walked past him, and came to the chair that Wei Xiao was supposed to be sitting on. She sat down on the chair without any hesitation and crossed her legs. That lazy look on her face, as if this was her territory, made Wei Xiao gulp hard as a chill ran down his spine. Yun Jian sat on the sofa and crossed her legs. She narrowed her eyes and looked at Wei Xiao. Only then did Wei Xiao speak. After this is done, Can you really help me find my daughter, Wei Lin? Wei Xiao asked this very carefully, as if he was afraid of angering Yun Jian. Wei Xiao had no idea where Yun Jian came from, or what she used to do. He only knew that Yun Jian's background was very powerful. As long as you play your role well and don't reveal our cooperation to anyone during this period of time, I will definitely fulfill your request, my dear father. After Yun Jian finished speaking, her eyes flashed sharply. She smiled faintly at Wei Xiao. For some reason, Yun Jian's words moved Wei Xiao for a moment. So Wei Xiao nodded heavily. I won't tell anyone. Even my wife and children believe that you are the daughter I found after being separated for many years. As long as you can help me find my daughter, Wei Lin, I will help you hide it well." Wei Zhao's words made Yun Jian's eyes move slightly. She smiled faintly and didn't say anything. After leaving Wei Zhao's study, Yun Jian went downstairs to the Wei family's villa. That was right. She planned to sneak into Puluo City as the youngest daughter of the Wei family, and pay close attention to the abnormalities in Puluo City. She, slaying God, would take care of any trouble. How could anything go wrong? As soon as Yun Jian went downstairs, she saw a gorgeously dressed woman standing in front of her. Seeing this, Yun Jian did not intend to pay any attention to him, and walked to the side. However, when the woman saw that Yun Jian ignored her, she got angry and rushed over to Yun Jian. The woman said angrily to Yun Jian, "Wei Lin, how do you see the road? What can I do if I don't look after the house? No matter what, I'm still your sister, right? Is it because you've been missing for so many years that your temper has grown? Or do you think you're so powerful?" This woman was Wei Lin's sister, Wei Min, whom Yun Jian was impersonating. Wei Min was Wei Lin's biological sister. Wei Xiao had 3 children. His eldest son was Wei Zai, his second daughter was Wei Min, and his third daughter was Wei Lin. It had been 10 years since Wei Zhao's third daughter, Wei Lin, was separated when she was 8 years old. Once 10 years had passed, a person's appearance would undergo an earth-shattering transformation. Therefore, it was not strange that Wei Zhao's second daughter, Wei Min, could not tell whether Yun Jian was real or not. Yun Jian, who was blocked by Wei Min, blinked and ignored Wei Min. She walked around Wei Min and headed to the main door. Seeing that Yun Jian was ignoring her, Wei Min shouted at Yun Jian's back, "Why did you come back? You're such an impolite wild girl. You're not my sister. You might as well die outside for the rest of your life. Why did you come back?" Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2308. Watching Yun Jian walk out of the Wei residence, Wei Min clenched her fists angrily. Her hands trembled as she clenched them, looking like she could not wait to dash forward and tear Yun Jian to shreds on the spot. Seeing Yun Jian ignore her and leave the Wei residence, Wei Min cursed in her heart. "Why would you come back? When you were born, you took away my brother's love for me, and my parents' love for me. Why did you come back now? Was it because I didn't throw you far enough back then? I actually gave you a chance to find your way home." However, before Wei Min could finish her thought, her brother Wei Zai's voice came from behind her. "Sister, why are you standing here?" Wei Min's looks were average, but her figure was okay. Their father, Wei Xiao, was short and average-looking. Wei Min inherited her father's looks, so she wasn't considered good-looking. However, Wei Min knew how to put on makeup, so she covered most of her ugly face. Wei Min's brother, Wei Zai, was very handsome. Wei Min didn't know who inherited his looks, but Wei Zai was the most popular guy in the university. "Brother, it's Wei Lin. She just saw me and left without saying hello. I called her but she ignored me. I really missed her as a sister. I've missed her for 10 years. I'm really happy that she's back. But she doesn't seem to want to talk to me." Wei Min rolled her eyes and said to Wei Zai with a sad expression. This made Wei Zai, who had a glimmer of hope for his sister who had been separated from him for more than 10 years, gloomy. Wei Zai didn't say anything else. Yun Jian stayed at the Wei residence for 3 days. Generally speaking, the Wei family treated her well. They fed her well and dressed her well. 3 days later, Yun Jian was arranged to enter an elite college in Puluo City. This elite college in Puluo City included elementary, middle, high school, and university. Here, as long as you had money, you could enter. Those who entered this elite college in Puluo City were, without exception, the children of rich families. There were 1 or 2 students with excellent grades but poor family background who were specially recruited. However, under normal circumstances, such students would be isolated in the school. On this day, the weather was very clear. The sun was high up in the sky, and the morning air gave people a very fresh and comfortable feeling. Yun Jian carries a backpack and goes to the aristocratic school called the Imperial College. At the gate of the Imperial College, the cars that drove the children to and from school were all high-end sports cars, limited edition supercars. Yin Jian jogged directly from the Wei family to the school. Therefore, when they arrived at the school gate, Yin Jian, who did not have a luxury car to pick her up, became a special case that attracted a lot of attention. Yin Jian did not mind. After entering the school as per normal and reporting to the class, they were free to study. The University of the Royal Emperor Academy was similar to an ordinary high school. The students in the university sat in the same classroom and studied from morning to night. However, compared to ordinary high schools, the university students here were all children of rich families. Therefore, during class, the students either slept or played with their phones. Although the university at the Imperial College was different from other universities, and Gu Nianji studied in a normal high school, it was much more comfortable here than in other universities. Other than having to attend classes from morning to night like an ordinary high school student, you could do whatever you wanted here. Even if you skipped class, the teacher would not dare to say no. After Yin Jian entered the school, she briefly introduced herself to her classmates, but no one paid attention to her. At that time, Yin Jian was arranged to sit at the back of the classroom. The students in the classroom were all rich second-generation heirs. In 2003, mobile phones began to officially enter the Z country market. At this time, games such as the gluttonous snake on mobile phones began to become popular, and many people who had mobile phones played them happily. The students in the classroom were either playing with their mobile phones, sleeping, or playing games. It was a typical upper-class life. Yin Jian's classmate was a male classmate. At this time, the male classmate was playing with his mobile phone in distress and muttering to himself. He did not see Yin Jian at all. F***CK. This damn thing is broken again. I'll get my dad to throw you to the recycling plant later. Who told you to break it? The male classmate fiddled with the phone's power button, but it did not ring for a long time. When Yin Jian saw this, her eyes narrowed slightly. In the next second she said, "Give me the phone." Suddenly, the male classmate heard Yin Jian's words and raised his head to look at Yin Jian for 2 seconds. Then he said in a daze, "You know how to fix it?" "Yes." A simple word sounded. The male classmate was not pretentious. He threw the phone to Yin Jian. However, he saw Yin Jian pick up a black pen and take apart all the parts of the male classmate's mobile phone. Seeing this, the male classmate was stunned for a moment before he said loudly, Hey, you broke my phone. What should I do?" "Don't be noisy." These 2 simple words, but enough to suppress the male classmate, came from Yin Jian's mouth. Hearing this, the male classmate's heart skipped a beat, and he did not say anything. At that time, the male classmate saw Yin Jian take apart the mobile phone, reassemble it, and then put all the parts back into the phone. Her speed was so fast that it was as if she knew the internal parts of the mobile phone very well. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile Reading Website. Chapter 2309. You. How did you do it? My phone hasn't been working properly for a few days now. How did you take out all the parts in the phone and completely put them back in? And this broken phone of mine actually turned on smoothly after you did that? After the male student recovered from his shock, he looked at Yin Jian with a shocked expression and said in a daze. The male student had just asked Yin Jian with a shocked expression, but he saw Yin Jian, who was sitting next to the male student, pursed her red lips. She put her index finger to her lips and made a shu gesture, then said, "As long as you promise me one thing, I'll fix your phone in the future." Of course, Yin Jian wouldn't fix this male student's phone for free. From this male student's words and actions, she could infer that this male student's family was very wealthy. But the phone in the male student's hand was already very old. The model of the phone was also an old model that was released last year and had been used for a long time. For a rich second generation from a wealthy family to use a broken phone for so long, it was enough to prove one thing. His pocket money had been deducted by his family. Yin Jian's point just now almost caught the male student's heart. So after hearing Yin Jian's words, this male student who didn't even see Yin Jian at the beginning looked at Yin Jian with a face full of excitement, then said with a face full of surprise, "Really? Okay. As long as it's within my ability, I'll promise you. Speaking of which, you're a new student, right? Hey, in the future when you're studying at our Imperial Academy, if anyone dares to mess with you, just tell me. I'll support you. The male student's face was full of excitement. Yunjian's red lips curved slightly, and she replied indifferently. N. Oh right, I haven't asked for your name yet, HM? The male student was too lazy to look at Yunjian at the beginning, but at this moment, he looked at Yunjian seriously. The Imperial Academy was a school for the aristocrats. The girls who studied here were all rich second generations. Their families were very rich, and they also liked to dress up. So no matter how ugly the girls in the academy were, they wouldn't be that ugly. In short, there was no shortage of beauties in the academy. Therefore, even if Yunjian was a natural beauty, this group of students who were used to seeing beautiful women only looked at Yunjian a few more times. After the male classmate said this, Yunjian pursed her lips slightly and replied indifferently, Wei Lin. Ha. My surname is Luo Jiechen. The male student who claimed to be Luo Jiechen introduced himself to Yunjian. Luo Jiechen's Luo family was the head of the 3 richest families in Piluo City. The Luo clan, Hong clan, and Wei clan were ranked in that order. The Luo family had the highest status in Piluo City. As for Luo Jiechen, he was the most mischievous and playful youngest son of the Luo family. Yunjian nodded. By the way, what do you want me to promise you? Luo Jiechen asked after getting acquainted with Yunjian. You'll know when the time comes. Yunjian narrowed her eyes. After she finished speaking, she didn't say anything else. At 6:30 in the evening, the school ended early. Yunjian packed her bag and was about to walk to the school gate. But when Yunjian was halfway there, her eyes suddenly moved. In the next second, she turned around and walked to the mountain behind the school with her bag on her back. Just for a moment, she felt the fluctuation of spiritual power in the mountain behind the school. Yunjian didn't hide her presence. She hid in the mountain behind the school. She saw 2 groups of people standing in the mountain behind the school. These 2 groups of people were both students of the Imperial College. At this moment, one group of students had already been subdued by the other group of students. And Yunjian saw her sister, Wei Min, and brother, Wei Zhe, in the group of students who had won. They were Wei Lin's brother and sister, whom Yunjian was pretending to be. Hand over the thing. But she saw a boy standing next to Wei Min and Wei Zhe. Compared to the other boys in the college, he was very handsome and was in line with the school's most handsome boy. This boy's eyes were very sharp. With a cold face, he shouted at one of the students who had been subdued. And among the students who had been subdued, one of them was tightly protecting something. It looked like he had been struggling for a long time. Damn it. Break his dog leg. Let's see if he still hands it over. At this moment, a male student with dyed red hair bellowed with a thunderous voice. Picking up a metal rod, he directly smashed it towards the thigh of the student who was desperately trying to protect that thing in his arms. This student was hit by the metal rod. He cried out in pain and almost fainted. Yunjian, who was hiding in the dark, narrowed her eyes. But just as Yunjian was about to cross her arms and watch the show without hiding her hiding place, the boy with the sharp eyes suddenly looked in her direction. At the same time he shouted, "Who's there?" Hearing this, Yunjian raised her eyebrows. This person was quite vigilant. Hearing this, Yunjian didn't pretend. She stopped crossing her arms and walked out. When she saw Yunjian, Yunjian's sister Wei Min was shocked. Then in front of everyone, she shouted at Yunjian, "Wei Lin, why are you here?" Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 2310. Page 1/1, Wei Lin, was Yunjian's current identity. Hearing Wei Min's words, the group of students standing beside Wei Min gulped in shock. Especially the boy who dyed his hair red. When he heard what Wei Min said, he blurted out in shock at her before Yunjian could. "What's wrong with you?" "Min. Is this your younger sister who was lost for 10 years before she was found, Wei Lin?" The red-haired boy was called Hongling. Hongling's Hong clan was the second most powerful clan in Piluo City. And Hongling was the only son of the Hong clan. Hence, the person who was usually brutal and ruthless, who had used a metal rod to smash the leg of a student who was protecting something in his arms, was Hongling. After being pointed out by Hongling that Yunjian was her sister who had been lost for 10 years, Wei Min's face froze, and a look of displeasure flashed across her face. However, in front of everyone, Wei Min was obviously very concerned about her reputation. Yun Jian saw Wei Min scrutinizing the handsome boy who had a piercing gaze and a cold face from beginning to end with a bashful gaze before she spoke up. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. That's right. This is my poor sister who was lost for 10 years, Wei Lin. My sister was lost for 10 years, and I don't even know what kind of suffering she went through outside. Was she bullied by others? I heard from the news that after many girls were kidnapped, they would be defiled. Lin, her sister is really sad that I wasn't able to stay by your side and protect you. Wei Min glared at Yun Jian, but said such words. In front of everyone, Wei Min was a sister who was thinking for her sister. However, her words were not about Yun Jian who had been kidnapped for 10 years. She might have been defiled by men outside, and might even be a prostitute who had been ridden by thousands of men. Hearing Wei Min's words, everyone looked at Yun Jian strangely. Even the brother Wei Zhe, who had a trace of pity for his sister who had been lost for 10 years, instantly lost all good feelings towards Yun Jian. Unlike the crowd's reaction, the boy who had a sharp gaze and a cold face throughout, like he was the target of a teenage girl's adoration, glanced at Yun Jian out of the corner of his eye with a hint of interest. This girl saw how Hong Ling had used a metal rod to break the leg of a normal student, and she was not afraid. His eyes were sharp, and his face was cold from beginning to end. The boy who was pursued by all the girls was called Luo Jiejun. That's right, Luo Jiejun was the brother of Luo Jiechen who Yun Jian met in the classroom. And Luo Jiejun was not only the eldest son of the Luo clan, he was also the most popular boy in the Royal Academy. At that time, Luo Jiejun looked at Yun Jian with interest. At this time, everyone present thought that Yun Jian would rush into Wei Min's arms and hug her sister, after hearing Wei Min's words. Or perhaps, when they saw Hong Ling smash that student's thigh with a metal rod, they were so scared that they screamed like ordinary female students. Everyone only saw Yun Jian walking towards the student whose leg had been broken. If a normal girl saw such a dark scene, she would definitely scream in fear. When the others saw Yun Jian walking toward the student whose leg was crippled, they thought that Yun Jian was going to feel sorry for the student like a normal girl, who would even feel sorry for an ant that was trampled to death. However, they saw Yun Jian walk over without a word and step on the student's leg that had been broken by the metal rod. Injury on top of injury. The student screamed in pain after being stepped on by Yun Jian, and the item in his hand was thrown out. Yun Jian successfully caught the item thrown out by the student. Then, in front of Luo Jiejun, Hong Ling, Wei Zhe, Wei Min, and the rest who were all dumbfounded, she expressionlessly said to the student whose leg had been broken, "I'll take your item." Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations. Chapter 2311. Page 1/1. They had thought that Yun Jian would go up to the student whose legs were crippled like a normal girl, or that she would stare at the student in horror and disbelief that they dared to do such a thing. Who knew that Yun Jian would step forward and stomp on the thigh of the student whose legs were crippled by the rod, causing the student to nearly pass out from the pain as the item he was holding was flung out of his hand. Wei Min and Wei Zhe had been separated from each other for 10 years, and had only just been found. How could she not be afraid after seeing such a dark scene in the school? Not only that, she stepped on the student's thigh without any fear and simply snatched the item from the student's hand. Luo Jiejun narrowed his eyes and looked at Yun Jian with a strange gaze. This little girl who had just been found by the Wei family was not ordinary. She was really different from other girls of her age. She had successfully attracted his attention. Wei Zhe and Wei Min were also completely stunned. They had never thought that their little sister, who had been separated for 10 years and was so timid that she would hide in her mother's arms when she saw a cockroach or a rat, would actually be able to do this. Not only did she dare to look at the scene of the student's legs being crippled by the metal rod, she even dared to walk over and step on his thigh, forcing him to return the item in his arms. This was the first time Wei Zhe had looked at Yun Jian properly since his little sister who had been lost for 10 years had returned. Wei Min was so scared that her face changed. Even someone like her who often saw school fights and students beating each other up would be scared out of her wits when she saw Yun Jian's actions. And she actually did it so naturally. F***CKZ, your little sister who had been lost for 10 years is quite fierce. Too fierce. I just crippled that guy's legs and he was still protecting the item in his arms. She stepped on it and that guy was in so much pain that he couldn't even care about the item. 2F** King fierce. When Hong Ling, who had smashed the student with the iron rod, saw this scene, his shocked expression suddenly changed. He walked in front of Wei Zhe and grabbed him by the shoulder, shouting at him in shock. At this moment, Yun Jian took the item that the student had thrown and turned to leave. The item that Yun Jian had taken was a fan. But it was different from normal fans. There was a layer of faint spiritual energy on the surface of this fan. Regardless of whether the fan came from Wandao continent or not, Yun Jian was certain that it had something to do with Wandao continent. Just as Yun Jian was about to turn and leave, Wei Min's voice continued. Lin, wait. Wei Min's greeting sounded like she was really welcoming Yun Jian, her biological sister's return. Hearing this, Yun Jian's her eyes narrowed and stopped her footsteps. Lin. Since you're back, big sister will introduce you to everyone. Wei Min looked at Yun Jian with the expression of a loving big sister and said, students who studied in normal schools had their own circle of friends, not to mention students who studied in this kind of aristocratic school. People with Wei Min's family background and status usually hung out with people of similar family background and status. Moreover, in this kind of aristocratic school, people who usually acted alone wouldn't be able to find friends, and would be in a very awkward situation. So when everyone heard Wei Min's words, they all waited for Yun Jian to integrate into the group. But who knew that after Yun Jian stopped, she turned her head slightly and coldly said something that no one expected in front of everyone. No need. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. Chapter 2312. Page 1/1. Yun Jian's words spread across the entire hall. Everyone present was startled by the sudden change of events. Even a young girl from an ordinary school was used to hanging out with friends. She had to go to the cafeteria with her friends, go to the bathroom with her friends, and go to PE class with her friends. If she couldn't find any friends, she would be seen as a loner. Outsiders might even think that she was crazy, so no one wanted to be her friend. Naturally, young girls were the most afraid of being looked down upon, so they would usually find someone to hang out with them. Even if they didn't have any friends, they had to blend in with the group. This was just an ordinary school, and in the Imperial Academy, this was even more obvious. Most girls would blend in with their group. But Yun Jian's words don't need? When these words came out, everyone present was stunned. Even Luo Jiajun frowned and looked at Yun Jian with interest. Yes, whether she was playing hard to get or not, she had successfully attracted his attention. And at that time, Yun Jian turned and left after saying these words. She was a loner. Yun Jian exuded an aura that was different from others, so everyone present couldn't help but look at her differently. It was the first time Luo Jiajun, Hong Ling, and the others had seen her innately arrogant aura that made everyone present submit to her. Even Wei Zhe had to reevaluate his sister, who had been lost for 10 years. Yun Jian put the fan with spiritual power into her backpack and returned to the Wei family. In the next few days, Yun Jian went back and forth between the Wei family and the Imperial Academy. She also woke up early to do morning exercises and exercise. She didn't fall behind in any of them. Ever since that day, Luo Jiachen was no longer afraid of breaking his phone. And ever since that day, Luo Jiachen also followed Yun Jian. Even when going to the cafeteria, Luo Jiachen had to go with Yun Jian. As the young master of the Luo family, Luo Jiachen's status in the Imperial College was not ordinary. Although Luo Jiachen was slightly inferior to his brother Luo Jiajun in terms of excellence and appearance, Luo Jiachen was still the young master of the Luo family, and his appearance was not bad. Luo Jiachen was also considered the most handsome man in the Imperial College, and was sought after by countless girls. Therefore, when they saw Luo Jiachen chasing after Yun Jian every day, all the girls thought that Luo Jiachen had fallen in love with this new female classmate. Therefore these days, no one treated Yun Jian nicely. At this moment, Yun Jian was sitting at a table in the cafeteria. Luo Jiachen stood beside Yun Jian like a servant. He asked Yun Jian what she wanted to eat, and he would help her get it. Whatever. Yunjian was not a picky eater. After all, Luo Jiechen was a boy and Yunjian was a girl. Outsiders thought that Luo Jiechen helped Yunjian line up for a big lunchbox every day, because he had fallen in love with Yunjian. But no one knew that Luo Jiechen was afraid that his family would deduct his pocket money. If his phone broke, he would have no money to fix it. He would be bored in class, so he tried his best to please Yunjian. Okay. Sit down, I'll help you get the lunchbox right away. After hearing what Yunjian said, Luo Jiechen immediately ran to line up for the lunchbox. Wait. Yunjian stopped him. She paused for a moment before adding, get more sour dishes. In the past, Yunjian was never a picky eater. She had a special favorite dish, but she did not ask for too much. But recently, she had fallen in love with sour vegetables. What was going on? Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations. Chapter 23:13. Page 1/1. But Yunjian didn't think too much about it. After Yunjian said that, Luo Jiechen answered and ran to get Yunjian's lunchbox. Yunjian rested her eyes with her elbows on the school cafeteria's dining table, with a hand on her forehead. Wei, sister, you're here alone? Just as Yunjian was about to close her eyes to rest, her sister Wei Min's voice suddenly sounded. Then, even if Yunjian didn't open her eyes, she could feel that Wei Min was walking towards her with a group of people from the mountain behind the school that night. Children from rich families like Wei Min and Wei Zhe usually hung out with other children from rich families who were about the same as them on campus. So it wasn't strange that Wei Min and Wei Zhe were accompanied by Luo Jiejun and Hongling. Luo Jiejun could not help being captivated by Yunjian's charisma. When he saw her sitting alone at the canteen table with her elbows on the table, and her eyes closed lazily with a hand on her head, he took a few more glances at her. Luo Jiejun was known as the Cold Prince in the Imperial Academy and was called Young Master Jun. He was one of the most popular school hunks in the Imperial Academy. So, when Luo Jiejun looked at Yunjian a few more times, the surrounding girls looked at Yunjian with resentment. Back then Wei Min, who was Yunjian's biological sister by name, had wanted to call her Wei Lin, but she forced herself to call her younger sister, instead of calling her by her full name in an unfriendly manner. Seeing the boy she admired, Luo Jiejun, look at Yunjian a few more times, Wei Min used her thumb to dig into the flesh of her hand. Because she used too much force, her knuckles turned white. In spite of it, Wei Min still flashed a kind smile at her in front of everyone. Hearing Wei Min's voice, Yunjian only opened her eyes and glanced at Wei Min before closing them again. Wei Lin, Minna is calling you. Even if you were separated for 10 years and only found recently, Minna is still your sister. No matter what Minna is greeting you, you should at least respond. Seeing Yunjian glance at Wei Min and close her eyes again, as Yunjian's brother in name, Wei Zhe couldn't help but yell at Yunjian. Wei Zhe originally still had some hope for his sister who had just been found. However, Wei Min had badmouthed Yunjian in front of Wei Zhe more than once, causing Wei Zhe's good impression of Yunjian. Especially after Yunjian returned to the Wei family, Wei Xiao, the biological father of the trio, and his wife, who was also Wei Min and Wei Zhe's mother, had given all their love and affection to their youngest daughter, Yunjian, who had just been found. It was also why Wei Zhe was estranged from Yunjian. Brother, it's not my fault. I was just found recently, so it's normal that I'm not used to it. After all, I suffered a lot outside. Wei Min spoke up quickly at Wei Zhe's words. Her innocent look would make those who did not know the situation think that Yunjian was the one who bullied her. Hearing this, Wei Zhe's dissatisfaction with Yunjian increased. He frowned and paced 2 rounds on the spot before suddenly speaking to Yunjian in the tone of a brother lecturing his sister. What's wrong with you? There's been a rumor in school recently that you were found after being separated for 10 years, and that you're riding on the coattails of the Luo family's young master, Luo Jiechen? Take it easy in the future. Since you're back in the Wei family, you're the face of the Wei family. Don't do anything embarrassing for the Wei family. There had been a rumor in school recently that Yunjian was riding on the coattails of the Luo family's young master, Luo Jiechen. She was just short of doing something disgusting with her body. Obviously, Wei Zhe believed these rumors. Hearing Wei Zhe's words, Yunjian's eyelids twitched, but she didn't say anything. Seeing this, Wei Zhe thought that Yunjian had silently admitted to it. Wei Zhe was so angry that he thought his long-lost sister had really abandoned herself, and was about to reprimand her again. The young master of the Luo family, Luo Jiechen, who was rumored to be riding on Yunjian's coattails, was stumbling over with 2 bowls of lunchboxes. Make way, make way. Make way for me, Luo Jiechen said as he ran over. It wasn't until Luo Jiechen placed one of the 2 lunchboxes in front of Yunjian that Wei Min, Wei Zhe, Luo Jiejun, and the others saw Luo Jiechen looking at Yunjian with a fawning expression. He smiled and said, "Madam, I've prepared your lunchbox. Try it and see if it's to your liking. If it's not to your liking, I'll get another one for you." Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations. Chapter 23:14. Page 1/1. Seeing Luo Jiechen using such a flattering expression to express his goodwill to Yunjian, Wei Zhe, Wei Min, Luo Jiejun and Hongling were shocked. Especially Wei Zhe and Wei Min. The young master of the Luo family, Luo Jiechen, was usually arrogant and playful. He was someone who did not do his job properly. Moreover, Luo Jiechen was completely different from Wei Zhe, and Wei Min. Luo Jiechen walked the unorthodox path. Even if the heavenly king came, he would not be able to make Luo Jiechen bow his head. Just last year, because the principal of the Imperial College caught Luo Jiechen violating the school rules, he severely criticized Luo Jiechen. In the end, Luo Jiechen sent the principal to the hospital. After this incident, Luo Jiechen's father personally brought Luo Jiechen to apologize to the principal. He even deducted 2 years of Luo Jiechen's pocket money. It could be said that Luo Jiechen was a little hedgehog that refused to admit defeat. At least Wei Zhe, Wei Min and the rest had never seen Luo Jiechen submit to anyone. But what was going on today? The former little tyrant Luo Jiechen actually called a girl grandaunt. He even personally queued up to buy her lunchbox. He even said, "If it's not to your liking, I'll get another one for you." Wei Zhe, Wei Min and the rest were stunned. Putting aside the fact that the rumor that Yunjian was riding on the coattails of the Luo family's young master was not true, based on the current situation, it was the young master of the Luo family, Luo Jiechen, trying to curry favor with Yunjian. Wei Zhe's expression changed when he saw this. At this time, Luo Jiechen also noticed Wei Zhe and the people standing around him. When he saw his big brother Luo Jiejun, Luo Jiechen was stunned. He then looked at Luo Jiejun in a daze and said weakly, "Big brother? Jiechen, what are you doing?" Luo Jiejun shouted at Luo Jiechen. "No, I'm just getting a lunchbox for my grandaunt." Luo Jiechen was most afraid of his big brother. Now that Luo Jiejun shouted at him, his body trembled and he quickly said, "Grandaunt?" Hearing his younger brother address Yunjian in such a manner, Luo Jiejun turned to look at Yunjian with interest. A trace of interest appeared on his handsome face, which was enough to charm thousands of girls in the campus. "Hey, that's right. This is my family's great aunt. She was amazing. He will fix my phone." Luo Jiechen answered his brother's question without reservation. No one was surprised to hear that Yunjian knew how to repair her phone. After all, in everyone's eyes, Yunjian was the youngest daughter of the Wei family who had been lost for 10 years. Perhaps she had done the hard work of repairing mobile phones outside? While they were chattering, Yunjian put down her lunchbox, stood up, and walked out of the cafeteria. "And my great aunt, you finished eating so quickly. Wait for me." Seeing this, Luo Jiechen couldn't care less about the others. He quickly took a few mouthfuls of his lunchbox and chased after Yunjian. Luo Jiejun, who was standing in the same spot, saw this and narrowed his eyes. He stared at Yunjian's departing footsteps with his sharp eyes and raised his eyebrows. Playing hard to get. She had indeed succeeded in attracting his attention. Today's class ended early because it was Friday. School ended at 3 in the afternoon. Yunjian carried her backpack and left the school. After leaving the school, Yunjian went straight to the market. There was an old man in his 50s who set up a stall in the market. The pickled vegetables he sold were especially delicious. For the past few days, She came back every day to buy the pickled vegetables. Seeing that Yunjian had come again, the old man smiled and gave Yunjian an appropriate amount of pickled vegetables. He even secretly gave Yunjian an extra handful of pickled vegetables. When he handed the pickled vegetables to Yunjian, he said with a smile, "Spicy and spicy, spicy and spicy. This little girl likes to eat sour food so much. When she gets married and has children in the future, I guarantee that she will give birth to a fair and chubby grandson." Top reading website, M. Chapter 23:15. Yunjian's expression didn't change at all when she heard the old man's words, but she blushed slightly. Yunjian's heart warmed at the thought that she and Ce would have children in the future. Yunjian didn't respond to the old man's words. She just nodded at him and turned to leave the market. After returning to the Wei family, Yunjian handed the pickled vegetables to the Wei family's servants. Then, she went upstairs to her room. Yunjian placed her school bag on the desk in her room and took out a few throwing knives, 2 butterfly knives, and a silver Desert Eagle pistol. After hiding everything under her bed, she changed into casual sportswear and went downstairs. Exercise before meals was also essential. However, the sportswear Yunjian changed into was a tight-fitting, short-sleeved sportswear that exposed her navel. She also wore a pair of black shorts. This set of sportswear completely exposed her perfect curves. It was inconvenient to wear thick clothes when exercising. Although it was winter now, the whole country was cold, especially in the north. People who were closer to the north were so cold that they were almost curled up into a ball. However, Puluo City was located very close to the south of Country Z. The climate was comfortable. Even in winter, the coldest time in Puluo City was at most the temperature of autumn in other regions. It wasn't considered cold. Therefore, even if Yunjian went out to exercise in the middle of winter, she wouldn't feel too cold. However, it was difficult to hide a weapon in this set of sportswear, so Yunjian decided to go out without any weapons. She was still a little stunned when she stepped out of the door. Because it had rained that morning, the streets were still wet. There was no sun for the whole day, so the accumulated water on the streets hadn't receded. Yunjian jogged out of the house. She ran around a park near the neighborhood and a rather large lake beside the park before going home. Unexpectedly, she coincidentally bumped into Wei Min and the others on the way home. Wei Min, Wei Zhe, Luo Jiejun, and Hong Ling often played together. As a matter of fact, when Yunjian returned home from school, they went to a nearby arcade to play games for a while before heading home. On the way home, Wei Min suggested that everyone go to Wei Min's house for dinner before disbanding. Everyone agreed with this decision. Luo Jiejun didn't like to go to the Wei family for dinner, but when he thought of the interesting little daughter of the Wei family, he agreed. Unexpectedly, he bumped into Yunjian, who had just returned home from her night practice. Back in school, Yunjian was dressed in loose-fitting clothes, so it was impossible to see her proud figure. In spite of it, what was presented in front of everyone was Yunjian's voluptuous breasts that were wrapped in the tight-fitting sportswear, her slim waist, and her long, slender skin that looked smooth and tender just by looking at it. That golden ratio figure, coupled with perfect curves, made everyone present dumbfounded. By the time they reacted, Yunjian had already walked past them and walked forward. "Linlin, you didn't even greet me when you saw me." Wei Min looked at Yunjian's perfect figure and said with a fake smile. Yunjian ignored her. Seeing this, both Wei Min and Wei Zhe felt awkward. Just when they thought that Yunjian wouldn't turn around, Yunjian suddenly turned around and looked at them. "Do you know where in Puluo City there are abnormal occurrences? Please remember the domain name of this book." Mobile reading website. Chapter 23:16. What Yunjian wanted to ask was naturally about the mysterious man opening the passage from the myriad continents to Earth. Of course, she wouldn't ask directly. So she asked, "Abnormal event?" Hearing Yunjian's words, the people present were slightly stunned. Even Wei Min was stunned. After realizing what she meant, the people present were puzzled. "Why do you want to know about abnormal events? You're a young girl. It's better for you to know your place." Hong Ling, who had dyed his hair red, laughed after hearing Yunjian's words. Hongling quite admired Yun Jian. Previously, when he smashed a student's thigh with an iron rod, Yun Jian, as a girl, not only did she not cry or make a fuss, she even went up and directly stepped on the student's injured thigh, and directly took the fan from his hand. This action was indeed admirable. However, at that time, Hongling and the others' purpose was not the fan in the student's hand, so the fan in the student's hand was taken away by Yun Jian. You just need to answer my question. After Hongling finished speaking, Yun Jian's eyes moved, and the sharp light in her eyes shocked the people present. However, the few of them still managed to react. There hasn't been any abnormal events in Pyuyo City recently. Luo Jiajun looked at Yun Jian with a playful expression and said, Junyu. Seeing Luo Jiajun show such an expression, Hongling was shocked and stunned. After all, Luo Jiajun, who was known as the Cold Prince, never bothered to talk to girls automatically. Seeing Luo Jiajun actually talk to Yun Jian, Wei Min, who had a crush on Luo Jiajun, opened her mouth, closed her mouth, and then clenched her fists. Finally, Wei Min clenched her fists, looked at Yun Jian with a smiling expression, and pretended to be kind and said, Lin, where have you been all these years? What have you done? Lin, don't worry, no matter what you've done, we won't blame you. After all, you didn't have a choice. My heart aches for you, Lin. That's why I want to know what happened to you. Wei Min really touched a sore spot. When the surrounding people heard her words, they naturally thought that she was doting on her younger sister. However, Yun Jian wasn't stupid. She naturally understood the meaning behind Wei Min's words. She probably couldn't wait to hear something bad from him, right? Yun Jian's lips curled into a cold arc, but the moment she did so, her eyes darkened. Be careful. Get down. Luo Jiajun also suddenly reacted to the change in the surrounding atmosphere. He abruptly opened his mouth, and his reprimand sounded almost at the same time. Hearing this, Wei Min, Wei Zhe, and Hongling all dodged to the side. That's right, Luo Jiajun, Wei Min, and the others were all martial artists. The three great families of Pyuyo City were not as simple as they seemed. On the surface, the three great clans were righteous, but in fact, they relied on the underworld to make their fortune. Therefore, the children of the three big families in Pyuyo City all had the ability to protect themselves. This was something ordinary people didn't have. After everyone took cover, a row of machine guns swept past the place where they were standing just now. Seeing this, even Wei Min and the rest of the martial artists took a deep breath. When Wei Min came back to her senses, she wanted to turn around to look at Yun Jian with a smug expression. She wanted to show off that she and the others were children of the three great clans. Since young, they were different from ordinary students. Unlike her, an ordinary child who was found outside, they grew up with martial arts training. However, she saw that Yun Jian had already dodged the bullets and was standing in a very conspicuous spot. If the group of people suddenly appeared with machine guns, they would be able to shoot at them. Come back. This group of people must be here to assassinate us. You're just an ordinary person. Quickly find a place to hide. Leave this to us. When Luo Jiajun saw this, he frowned deeply and said. He and the others around him all thought that Yun Jian was just an ordinary person. Just when Luo Jiajun and the others thought that Yun Jian was so scared that she didn't dare to move, and just happened to dodge the bullets, they saw Yun Jian suddenly smile in front of everyone. Then in front of Wei Zhe, Wei Min, Luo Jiajun and Hongling, she looked at the group of people with machine guns in front of her, and said in an extremely arrogant tone, They're here to kill me. Unfortunately, I didn't bring any weapons today. However, I can only trouble you to lend me your machine guns. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 2317. Page 1/1. Yun Jian's words shocked everyone present. These people who suddenly appeared with machine guns were all here to kill her. How was that possible? She was only the youngest daughter of the Wei family who had been lost for 10 years, and had just been found. She was just an ordinary little girl who hadn't even received any training from her family. How dare she say that these people were here to kill her? On the other hand, Luo Jiajun, Hongling, Wei Zhe, and Wei Min were all children of the Luo, Hong, and Wei families of Pyuyo City. When the three big families of Pyuyo City, the Luo, Hong, and Wei families first started out, they did not rely on the legal side. The three big families of Puyo City started out by relying on the underworld. Later on, they returned to the legal side. However, when they were in the underworld, they had offended many people, so the three big families were often hunted down. As the heirs of the three big families, Luo Jiejun, Hongling, Wei Zhe, and Wei Min had received special training from their families since they were young, so they were often hunted down. Therefore, when they saw the scene just now, Luo Jiejun and the rest's first reaction was that these people who suddenly appeared with machine guns were here for them. Who would have thought that Yun Jian would say something like that? Crazy, crazy. She's crazy. Jun, your skills are the best. Go and save her. The three of us will cover you. And when you come back, we'll choose to retreat quickly. Hearing Yun Jian's words, Hongling was stunned for a moment, then anxiously said to Luo Jiejun. Because of the sudden burst of machine gun fire, the red-haired Hongling no longer cared about his image, and said to Luo Jiejun, "Okay." Luo Jiejun nodded, and was about to move towards Yun Jian. "No, I'll go. That's my sister. I can successfully save her." Seeing that Luo Jiejun was about to go save Yun Jian, Wei Min panicked and grabbed Luo Jiejun's hand and shouted. If Luo Jiejun went to save Yun Jian, he would definitely touch Yun Jian's hand, and the two of them might even hug each other. This was unacceptable to Wei Min. "I'll go." Wei Min still wanted to say something, but Luo Jiejun lowered his eyes and shouted. After saying that, Luo Jiejun let go of Wei Min's hand and planned to walk to where Yun Jian was just now. Just as they were done debating and Luo Jiejun flung Wei Min's hand away, intending to stand toward Yun Jian so that he could be shot by the sudden appearance of the handheld machine guns in front of him, Luo Jiejun was interrupted. Luo Jiejun and the others were surprised to find that Yun Jian was gone. Where is she? When Hongling saw this, he was stunned and shouted. She couldn't have found a place to hide, could she? We were thinking about her safety, and she actually... my sister is too naughty. Does she know that she's in danger? As her elder sister, I'm very worried about her. Wei Min thought that Yun Jian had found a place to hide herself. She was angry. Just as she was about to say something extreme, she suddenly realized that she was in front of Luo Jiejun, so she quickly changed her words. Look. There. Just as Wei Min was thinking about how narcissistic Yun Jian was, insisting that the group of people armed with machine guns were targeting her in such a dangerous situation, she thought that Yun Jian was trying to attract the attention of Luo Jiejun, who was known as the Cold Prince in school. Suddenly, a scream was heard. Hongling was looking at the group of people armed with machine guns not far away with a terrified expression. The machine guns in his hands were already gone. In front of that group of people was Yun Jian, who had disappeared in front of Luo Jiejun and the others. At this moment, Yun Jian was standing on dozens of machine guns. She was standing lazily in front of everyone, waving a machine gun in her hand. That leisurely and lazy look was enough to make everyone tremble. It also happened to be in line with Yun Jian's arrogant words just now. She actually. In the blink of an eye, she actually snatched all the machine guns from the other party's hands. Hongling's eyes widened as he looked at the scene in front of him in shock. As Yun Jian's brother in name, Wei Zhe's eyes also shrunk. Wei Min's face darkened. Luo Jiejun, on the other hand, glanced at Yun Jian playfully. They didn't even see clearly when Yun Jian made her move. Cha! At this moment they saw Yun Jian stepping on the pile of machine guns with one foot. After twirling the machine gun in her hand nimbly, she pulled the bolt and pointed the machine gun at the group of people in front of her. She sneered and said, "Tell me who sent you to assassinate me, and I'll give you a quick death." Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 23:18. Page 1/1. Luo Jiejun, Hongling, Wei Zhe, and Wei Min's faces changed as they watched Yun Jian play with the machine gun. The other party had a machine gun, and Yun Jian actually took the opportunity to snatch the machine gun from their hands while they were talking. Even if Luo Jiejun and the rest did not see Yun Jian's actions, they should know how shocking Yun Jian's actions were. Who was she? Not only could she play with the machine gun so easily, But she also had such unbelievable strength. Wei Zhe, Wei Min, and Hong Ling were all dumbfounded. Luo Jiejun narrowed his eyes as he became more and more interested in Yun Jian. What happened to her in the 10 years that she was lost? Just as Luo Jiejun narrowed his eyes and studied Yun Jian's expression changed. I'll tell you. Let me live. I'll tell you everything. We've been hurt by T. One of the men who was carrying the machine gun heard Yun Jian's words. Because he saw Yun Jian's strength, he was so shocked that he wanted to confess the person who sent them to assassinate Yun Jian. Bang 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 bang. A series of sniper shots rang out. After the series of sniper shots rang out, at the same time, the man who had planned to have a showdown with Yun Jian, as well as the group of people who were shooting at Yun Jian and her friends with machine guns, were all killed on the spot due to the sudden sniper shot. Someone must have killed them from high up in the sky. Seeing this, Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. She did not make a move and just watched the group of people die in front of her. She had the ability to save the man who was about to confess the person who sent the men to assassinate her. But Yun Jian did not make a move. That was because she already knew who sent the men to assassinate her. The group of people who were suddenly killed by snipers from high up in the sky were splattered with blood. This scene shocked Luo Jiejun, Wei Min and the rest. But when Yun Jian saw this, she directly threw the machine gun in her hand, and turned to leave as if nothing had happened. Seeing this scene, Luo Jiejun and the rest could not remain calm. Luo Jiejun and the rest quickly caught up with Yun Jian, and blocked Yun Jian's path. Wei Zhe, Yun Jian's brother in name, immediately spoke to Yun Jian. Wei Lin, what happened to you in the 10 years you left home? You're just an ordinary student. How did you provoke such an enemy? It was obvious that when Yun Jian asked the man who sent them to kill her just now, he was killed by a sniper from high up in the sky just as he was about to spill the beans. From this, it could be concluded that that group of people who were armed with machine guns were here to kill Yun Jian. Yun Jian, on the other hand, was the youngest daughter of the Wei family, who had just been found and lost for 10 years. How could she provoke such an enemy? This made Luo Jiejun, Hong Ling, Wei Zhe, Wei Min and the rest in disbelief. So after the shock, the group immediately chased after her to question her. Get out of the way. Yun Jian, who was surrounded by Luo Jiejun and the rest, spoke coldly. No, Wei Lin, your brother must be concerned about you. So he wants you to tell us about your recent situation. You're a girl. How did you provoke such an enemy? But don't be afraid. Tell us everything and let us think of a solution for you. When Hong Ling first met Yun Jian, he was attracted by Yun Jian's different style from other young girls. Now he felt that Yun Jian was even more attractive. So he wanted to rope Yun Jian in as one of them, which was why he said this. Hong Ling's words were undoubtedly a great acknowledgement of Yun Jian. At least, if it were any other young girl, they would be so excited that they would jump 3 feet into the air. But after Yun Jian heard Hong Ling's words, her eyes still moved. Her expression was even colder as she repeated her words. Get out of the way. When she said this, Hong Ling was shocked by Yun Jian's aura and stepped to the side. Yun Jian walked around them and walked in the direction of the Wei residence. Seeing Yun Jian's figure gradually disappear, Luo Jiejun couldn't help but narrow his eyes as his thoughts drifted. Luo Jiejun didn't see the scene where Yun Jian snatched the machine gun, but he was sure that to be able to snatch the machine gun from the hands of that group of people, her skills were almost comparable to his. Top reading website M. Chapter 2319. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Page 1/1. Thinking of this, Luo Jiejun's eyes narrowed even more. Interesting too interesting. Wei family's youngest daughter, Wei Lin, you've been attracting my attention all this time. Brother Jiejun. Brother Jiejun. Brother Jiejun. When Wei Min saw Luo Jiejun staring in the direction where Yun Jian left without looking back for a long time, she dug her fingernails into her skin, and called out 3 times with a grim face. After 3 times, Luo Jiejun realized that Wei Min was calling him. MMM. When Luo Jiejun snapped out of it, he stared at the spot where Yun Jian was not before turning back to look at Wei Min. With this, Wei Min became even angrier. She was so angry that her body trembled. Her long fingernails almost dug into the flesh on her hands. Someone would naturally take care of the corpses. Every organization would have someone who specialized in cleaning up the corpses and would not leave any traces behind. At this moment, Yin Jian had just returned to the Wei family. "Little miss, you're back? Dinner is ready. Little miss, go wash your hands and get ready to eat." The Wei family's old servant, Auntie Zhang, said to Yun Jian when she saw Yun Jian return from her night practice. "Mm." Hearing Auntie Zhang's words, Yun Jian nodded and went to the kitchen to wash her hands before sitting at the dining table. At the huge dining table, Yun Jian, who was pretending to be Wei Lin's biological mother, Wang Ruoya, was sitting at the head of the table. Seeing Yun Jian walk over, Wang Ruoya stood up and pulled Yun Jian to her seat with a doting look on her face. Wang Ruoya loved Yun Jian very much as she had only found her biological daughter after being separated from her for 10 years. Even the love she had for Wei Zhe and Wei Min was transferred to Yun Jian after Yun Jian came to the Wei family. Wang Ruoya did not know that Yun Jian was an impostor. Wei Xiao had received Yun Jian's order and did not dare to tell anyone. At this moment, Wang Ruoya felt that she owed her daughter who had been separated from her for 10 years. Hence, she pulled Yun Jian to the dining table and kept putting food in her bowl. "Child, eat. Eat. You've suffered all these years. Mother doesn't know what you've suffered outside. Mother will make it up to you in the future." Wang Ruoya translation. Wang Ruoya translation. Wang Ruoya translation. As she said Wang Ruoya. And Wang Ruoya, mother. Yin mother's mother. Was Yin Jianyu. Translation. Today, Auntie Zhang, Aunt Mother Zhang mother, Aunt Zhang, mother was Aunt Zhang, Auntie Zhang lady, Aunt Zhang Miss Zhang Zhang translation 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 Zhang translation 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 translation. As translation Yun Jian was very satisfied with the meal. Wei's Wei translation. When Wei translation. When that translation translation. When Wei when translation. This made Wei Min and Wei Zhe even more dissatisfied with Yun Jian Yang. However, Wei Min and Wei Zhe did not mention anything about what had happened in the park. Although the two of them wanted to tell their mother about Yun Jian Yang, they were afraid that their mother, Wang Ruoya translation Wang Ruoya, would worry about them, so they kept their mouths shut. Luo Jiajun Yang changed his mind and did not plan to come to the Wei family for dinner because he had met Yun Jian before. This made Wei Min Yang think even more highly of Yun Jian Yang. After this incident, Wei Min Yang began to suspect Yun Jian Yang. Was she really her snot-nosed sister who had been separated from her for 10 years? After nearly half a month of comfortable days, the school was about to start its winter break. This morning, Yun Jian Yang came to the classroom very early. Luo Jichen Yang rushed into the classroom early in the morning and said to Yun Jian Yang excitedly, "There's news. There's news. There's news. Recently, people have been disappearing in Puyo City. Currently, the police have been involved in the investigation, but the news is still blocked from the public. Outsiders really can't find this news, but who asked my Luo family's little tyrant to take action? I'll get it right away." Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2320. Yun Jian had told Luo Jiechen to keep an eye out for any strange happenings in Puyo City, and to inform her once he discovered anything. The scout that Luo Jiechen had sent out this morning had reported that there was a strange incident in Puyo City. So Luo Jiechen had rushed to the academy without even putting on his clothes properly this morning. He had wanted to tell Yun Jian the news in a hurry. "Give me the details." Yun Jian's eyes darkened as she spoke. "Hey, it's like this. I heard that in the suburbs of Puyo City, there was a large construction site that was under construction. The construction site workers had to work overtime at night. But last week, a worker went missing while working overtime at the construction site. Since then, there have been workers going missing at the construction site every day. Don't you think it's scary? It's like a supernatural incident. The police have already surrounded the place and no one is allowed to enter. This incident has already been sealed off. If you didn't know me, you wouldn't have known about this." Luo Jiechen looked at Yun Jian expectantly as he spoke. He was waiting for Yun Jian to praise him. Hearing Luo Jiechen's words, Yun Jian's eyes darkened. She paused for a moment before replying softly, "Yeah." Luo Jiechen, who had wanted to see what expression Yun Jian would have on her face, was stunned. That's it. Nothing happened for the entire day. Yun Jian didn't plan to take any action today. As usual, after school ended at Imperial Academy in the evening, Yun Jian put on her shoulder bag and walked towards the school gate. She had just walked out of the classroom when a girl walked towards her. The girl lowered her head and walked in front of Yun Jian. She handed a black gunny sack to Yun Jian and a small white slip of paper to Yun Jian. She said, "This is for you." Then she turned and walked towards the stairs at the side. Yun Jian looked into the black gunny sack and found that it was filled with pickled cabbage that had just been pickled. It was very fresh. He unfolded the small piece of paper and read it. "My dad asked me to pass this to you. He said that you're a student from the same school as me and you'd go to his place to buy pickled vegetables every day. He fell down at his house this morning and couldn't go to the market to set up his stall. He was afraid that you wouldn't be able to buy any pickled vegetables from the market, so he asked me to pass the pickled vegetables to you. These pickled vegetables are a gift from my dad. He said that you're a regular customer, so you don't have to pay." Yun Jian narrowed her eyes at the sight. Come to think of it, the girl just now should be the daughter of the old man who bought the pickled vegetables. Who would have thought that the old man actually had an 18 or 19-year-old daughter? He must have gotten the child when he was old. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and carried the black sack down the stairs, intending to walk towards the school gate. "Oh my, isn't this our school's top student Ling Qianqian? What? Why are you in such a hurry to go home?" "Hee, I heard that your father sells vegetables in a vegetable market in Puyo City. Since when is the school's threshold so low that even the daughter of a vegetable seller can enter our school?" Just as Yun Jian was walking down the stairs, she suddenly saw the girl who had lowered her head and stuffed the pickled vegetables into her hands being surrounded by a few other girls. They pinched her face, pulled her clothes, slapped her face and insulted her. "My dad isn't a vegetable seller. He's not." The girl called Ling Qianqian, who had handed the black bag to Yun Jian, cried out in a sobbing tone as tears streamed down her cheeks. "Not. We all saw it the last time. You went home with that vegetable seller. You still say that you're not a vegetable seller's daughter, haha." The girls surrounding Ling Qianqian became more and more arrogant and started to touch Ling Qianqian. "I really don't know how a slut like you is fit to study in our Imperial Academy, such a noble school." The leader of the girls pointed at Ling Qianqian and raised her hand, wanting to slap Ling Qianqian like before. However, just as the leader of the girls was about to slap Ling Qianqian, a pair of slender and beautiful hands successfully grabbed her wrist. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 23-21. Page 1/1. To an ordinary person, being drenched in the rain was very harmful to the body. Only a person who was sad or in pain would walk in the rain. However, Yun Jian was used to training in the rain. Running a few laps in the rain brought her back to the time when she was in the Inhun organization and trained with the group of kidnapped children. Back in the Inhun organization, it was a dark and gloomy day. Her daily wish was to be strong enough to live to the next day. However, it was undeniable that one's hard work was forced. The time when she was training day and night in the Inhun organization was the time when Yun Jian, as slaying god, worked the hardest to improve her skills. She only wanted to live. Ever since she left the Inhun organization, although she worked hard every day, she could not find that tenacious heart of hers. Therefore, there was another reason Yun Jian wanted to train in the rain. She wanted to find her fighting spirit in the rain. However, before Yun Jian could take a step, she heard Luo Jiejun's voice. Upon hearing that, Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and ignored him. She slung her backpack over one shoulder and ran into the rain. However, before Yun Jian could walk out, Luo Jiejun walked over to hold Yun Jian's hand, trying to stop Yun Jian from walking into the rain. "Even if you don't want to think about your body, as your friends will be worried for you." Luo Jiejun frowned as he said that. He wanted to hold Yun Jian's hand like a hero saving a damsel in distress to stop Yun Jian from getting drenched. However, Yin Jian's eyes moved. Before Luo Jiejun's hand could touch her, she dodged to the left and avoided his touch. Hong Ling and Wei Zhe, who were standing behind Luo Jiejun, were dumbfounded. The eldest son of the Luo family, the future heir of the Luo group, the most handsome boy in the Imperial College, known as the Aloof Prince. Not only did he claim to be Yin Jian's friend, but he even took the initiative to touch a girl. Reaching out to touch a girl was something that had never happened to Luo Jiejun. Therefore, this scene dumbfounded Hong Ling and Wei Zhe. What was even more surprising was that this girl actually avoided Luo Jiejun's touch. Didn't she know that she was the first girl in the world who could make Luo Jiejun take the initiative to hold her hand? In the dark, Wei Min clenched her fists. Her fingernails dug deep into her flesh. Her knuckles turned white because she used too much force. Wei Lin! Wei Min yelled out almost immediately. After yelling, she twisted her face and stared at Yin Jian with a fake smile for 2 seconds. Then, she suppressed her anger and looked at Yin Jian with the attitude of a good sister. Wei Lin, how can you be so impolite? Brother Jiejun is doing this for your own good. He doesn't want you to go out and catch a cold. Wei Min clenched her teeth and forced herself to change her tone into a normal one as she spoke to Yin Jian. After saying this, Yin Jian glanced at Wei Min from the corner of her eyes. Just as she was about to walk into the rain again. I haven't thanked you yet. My name is Ling Qianqian. We can be friends. Ling Qianqian suddenly ran to Yin Jian and said to Yin Jian. But when Ling Qianqian ran to Yin Jian and said this to Yin Jian, she suddenly saw a figure stumbling over in the rain. The figure staggered over with a limp. He was wearing a bamboo hat on his head and a straw raincoat on his body. He was also holding a worn-out umbrella in his hand. When this person saw Ling Qianqian, he grinned and ran over even faster. Qianqian, it's raining. Dad remembered that you didn't bring an umbrella this morning, so Dad brought an umbrella over. The man limped to the front of the crowd and handed Ling Qianqian the worn-out umbrella in his arms. Ling Qianqian suddenly got angry. She flung the shabby umbrella that the person handed to her to the ground. She cried and roared. Didn't I tell you not to come to school to pick me up? Do you think I haven't made a fool of myself enough? Get out! Get out of here! Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. Chapter 23-22. Page 1/1. Yin Jian clearly saw the old man wearing a tattered straw raincoat and a bamboo hat limping towards them. When he handed the umbrella to Ling Qianqian with a simple and honest smile, Ling Qianqian's lips suddenly stiffened. The old man who delivered the umbrella was none other than the old man who bought pickled vegetables that Yin Jian often met at the market. The old man obviously had a child when he was old. He had a daughter like Ling Qianqian, so he was usually very protective of her. To be honest, the old man was wearing a straw raincoat and a bamboo hat. When he walked into the Imperial Noble Academy, which was considered one of the top-notch academies in the country, there was a strong sense of incongruity. But the old man's honest expression made people unable to scold him. But when Ling Qianqian saw this old man, it was as if her expression changed completely. Just a moment ago, she was still trying to curry favor with Yin Jian, but in an instant her expression changed completely. No, Dad didn't want to come, but Qianqian, you forgot to bring an umbrella this morning. Dad was afraid that you would catch a cold in the rain. Take the umbrella. Dad will leave now. Dad will leave now. The old man was wearing a straw raincoat and a bamboo hat. He looked like he had walked a long way to deliver the umbrella. Looking at the little white note that Ling Qianqian wrote, the old man fell this morning and didn't even have the strength to set up a stall at the market. But he still mustered up the courage to walk so long just to deliver the umbrella to his daughter, not wanting her to get wet. Seeing his daughter throw the tattered umbrella he handed to her to the ground, the old man still had a simple and honest smile on his face. He bent down and picked up the umbrella from the ground. Because the old man was old, it would only take a few seconds for a young man to bend down and pick up the umbrella. However, it took the old man more than 20 seconds to suppress the pain in his spine. He picked up the umbrella and stuffed it into Ling Qianqian's hands. He then turned around and staggered out of the place in a sorry state. Hey, look! Isn't this our classmate Ling Qianqian? What's wrong? Your old father is here to pick you up from school. Aren't you going home with your father? There were many people walking back and forth in the teaching building. At that moment, a girl walked past Ling Qianqian and glanced at the old man who was wearing a straw raincoat and a bamboo hat. She used her usual mocking tone to mock Ling Qianqian. After saying that, the two girls stopped and looked at Ling Qianqian with a smile. Obviously, these two girls often use such words to provoke Ling Qianqian. I'm not Qianqian's father, I'm not. I'm just here to deliver an umbrella on behalf of Qianqian's parents. The old man hurriedly tried to save his daughter's face after hearing what the two girls said. Because he was in a hurry, the old man didn't even notice Yun Jian standing next to him. This old man said that he's not Ling Qianqian's father. Hee. The two girls who passed by said in a cold tone. Ling Qianqian was originally afraid that her classmates would find out that her father was a vegetable seller. Now that she was caught red-handed and provoked with such words, she subconsciously threw the umbrella at the old grandpa, covered her ears, and shouted at the old grandpa, "Grandpa! Scram! Scram! I don't want your umbrella! Scram!" She couldn't stop her tears from falling. You're still angry, haha. The two girls who passed by heard that and mocked again. The old man stood in the rain and awkwardly didn't know if he should bend down to pick up the umbrella on the ground. He just wanted to deliver an umbrella for his daughter. But why did it seem like he had made a huge mistake? It was then that Yun Jian tugged the two girls who were passing by and pushed them aside to taunt Ling Qianqian. Seeing this, Luo Jiejun narrowed his eyes. However, just when Luo Jiejun and the others thought that Yun Jian was being kind and wanted to help Ling Qianqian vent her anger on the two girls who passed by, they saw Yun Jian standing in front of Ling Qianqian in front of everyone, and then slapped Ling Qianqian's face. This sudden slap startled everyone present. Translator. Henyi Translations Editor. Henyi Translations. Chapter 23-23. No way, Lin, are you kidding me? Why did you hit her? Hong Ling saw Yun Jian's action and was shocked. Why did Yun Jian slap Ling Qianqian? This was obviously not Ling Qianqian's fault. This matter was clearly the fault of those gossipers. But Yun Jian actually slapped Ling Qianqian? Are you kidding me? Even Luo Jiejun, Wei Zhe, and Wei Min were shocked by Yun Jian's action. Logically speaking, Yun Jian should not have slapped Ling Qianqian. Moreover, Ling Qianqian was forced. Did Yun Jian not see Ling Qianqian's tears? Luo Jiejun saw Yun Jian's action and narrowed his eyes. If it were him, he would definitely warn the two girls who bullied Ling Qianqian. But Yun Jian, this is getting more and more interesting. Wei Lin, the youngest daughter of the Wei family, you've really impressed me. Luo Jiejun narrowed his eyes. However, just as Luo Jiejun narrowed his eyes, Yun Jian's cold voice suddenly sounded. She's the one I slapped. She, Yun Jian, slapped Ling Qianqian. At this moment, Ling Qianqian was covering her swollen face from Yun Jian's slap. She looked dispirited. Qianqian. The old grandpa was a little heartbroken that his daughter was slapped by Yun Jian. However, he stretched out his hand, afraid that if he stretched out his hand to help his daughter in the academy, his daughter would hate him again. So the old grandpa did not stretch out his hand. Qianqian, Dad is useless, Dad is useless. If only Dad could let you live a good life, it's Dad's fault. The old grandpa stood in the rain and looked at Ling Qianqian sadly. His mood had hit rock bottom. He could not forget his daughter shouting at him. Why aren't you rich? If you don't have money, why must you force me to study in an aristocratic academy? Ling Qianqian relied on her own ability to waive the tuition fees to enter the Imperial College. She didn't want to come because she wouldn't be able to get any attention in such a place where only the children of rich families studied. Ling Qianqian was forced to come by her father. She said that after she went to an elite school, the people she met in the future would be different. However, even the old man himself did not expect his daughter to be in such a situation. Do you know why I hit you? Amidst the silence, Yun Jian's voice rang abruptly, accompanied by the pitter-patter of the rain. These words were directed at Ling Qianqian. Ling Qianqian looked listless and did not reply. Because you're very happy. So happy that it's enviable. Yunjian's words rang out again in the next second. After hearing this, Ling Qianqian, the old man Luo Jiejun, and the others were dumbfounded. Was Yunjian dumbfounded? She actually said that Ling Qianqian was happy? One must know that Ling Qianqian's family background was the worst in the Royal Academy. Happy? Ling Qianqian was stunned as well. She raised her head and looked at Yunjian. However, she saw Yunjian continue speaking to Ling Qianqian in front of everyone with an expressionless face. Compared to the world I live in, you're a child kissed by God. You're so happy that it's enviable. At this point, Luo Jiejun and the others stared at Yunjian. Yunjian paused and stretched out her hands to draw a red arc in front of everyone, as if recalling a shocking scene. She continued to speak in front of everyone. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. Do you know that in the world I live in, as long as you dare? Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 23-24. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. Yunjian's nonchalant speech was devoid of any emotion, but it was accompanied by the sound of rain. It was enough to shock everyone present like they were struck by lightning. As soon as she said this, everyone present took a few deep breaths, stunned on the spot. Yunjian said, "What?" Everyone present knew about Yunjian's background. She was the Wei family's youngest daughter, Wei Lin, who had been lost for 10 years. As for the Wei family's youngest daughter, Wei Lin, who had been lost for 10 years, where she had gone, what she had done, and how she had been found, no one present knew. Because of this, when Luo Jiejun, Wei Min, and the other three heard Yunjian's words, they were all stunned for a moment. If you want to live, your hands must be stained with blood? These words deeply touched Luo Jiejun and the others. Yunjian's past life was even worse than Ling Qianqian, who had the worst family in the Imperial Academy, and was often ridiculed by her classmates. This made Luo Jiejun's brows knit even tighter. What kind of past did she have? At this moment, although Ling Qianqian was still squatting on the ground, she had already raised her head to look at Yunjian. Her face, which had stopped crying, was pale, but more than that, she was shocked. You should be glad that you're still alive. Why do you care about other people's opinions? If I did what you did, there would be many people in this world who would want me to die. If I was as decadent as you, I would have lost my life long ago. Yunjian interrupted Ling Qianqian before she could say anything. After that, she didn't want to talk to Ling Qianqian anymore. Is the father who raised you more important? Or is your worthless dignity more important? You better think carefully. With that, she turned around and slung her shoulder bag over her left shoulder, stepping into the rain that was neither heavy nor light. After Yunjian left, Ling Qianqian was completely silent. She sat on the ground and thought for a long time. Yunjian's actions really shocked Luo Jiejun and the others. Especially Luo Jiejun. Watching Yunjian walk into the rain, Luo Jiejun narrowed his eyes on his rather handsome face. This scene caused Wei Min to clench her fists again. She was so angry that her entire body trembled, and even the corners of her mouth twitched incessantly. However, just as Wei Min was so angry that her entire body was twitching, Luo Jiejun lifted his leg and actually followed Yunjian's footsteps into the distance. He did not even open his umbrella and chased after her. Yunjian was about to reach the entrance of the academy when she was suddenly stopped. Wei Lin. Without even turning his head, he could tell from the voice that the person who came was none other than Luo Jiejun. But Yunjian didn't stop. Unexpectedly, Luo Jiejun jogged over to Yunjian. After taking 2 deep breaths, he said to Yunjian, "Tell me, where have you been for the past 10 years? The moment Luo Jiejun caught up, Wei Zhe, Wei Min, and Hong Ling also caught up. As the school hunk of the Imperial Academy, this was the first time Luo Jiejun had chased after a girl in the rain. Wei Zhe and Hong Ling were completely dumbfounded. And what made Yunjian's nominal brother, Wei Zhe, even more shocked was what Yunjian had just said. What kind of past did she go through? However, just as Luo Jiejun asked Yunjian this question, Yunjian only coldly glanced at Luo Jiejun and wanted to walk around him to walk out of the academy. There were many students walking around the academy, so Yun Jian couldn't start jogging even if she wanted to. Seeing that Yun Jian was about to leave, Luo Jiejun directly blocked Yun Jian's path and said to Yun Jian, "Even if you don't say it, I can understand your pain." These words were rather ambiguous. The moment he said this, Wei Zhe and Hong Ling were even more shocked. Not only was this the first time Luo Jiejun was so concerned about a girl, but what was even more shocking was that this girl was his biological sister who had been separated from him for 10 years, Wei Lin. Wei Zhe was stunned. Needless to say, Wei Min's expression was obvious. However, just as Luo Jiejun, Wei Zhe, Hong Ling, and Wei Min stared at Yun Jian, waiting for Yun Jian to explain her whereabouts all these years in the rain, Yun Jian suddenly pulled out a faint and cold smile and said in front of everyone, "If I say that I was kidnapped by an assassin organization, would you believe me?" Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 23-25. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. If I told you that I was kidnapped by an assassin organization, would you believe me? Yun Jian's words stunned Luo Jiejun, Hong Ling, Wei Zhe, and Wei Min. Assassin organization kidnapped her? That to Luo Jiejun, Hong Ling, Wei Zhe, and Wei Min. An assassin organization was an unreachable existence. It was an existence that Luo Jiejun and the other three did not even dare to think about. Hence, after hearing Yun Jian's words, the four of them were stunned. After regaining his senses, Luo Jiejun's eyes darkened, but he did not seem to believe Yun Jian's words. Wei Lin, how can you say such things? Be careful that the assassin organization really kidnaps you. That assassin organization is a place to train assassins. How could you? All right, this is unrealistic, let's not talk about it. Lin, let's go home. Wei Min naturally did not believe Yun Jian's words, but she saw that after hearing Yun Jian's words, Luo Jiejun's eyes changed, even though he did not believe Yun Jian's words. That gaze clearly showed that he was more interested in Yun Jian. Wei Min was a woman, so she could naturally tell what Luo Jiejun's gaze meant when he looked at Yun Jian. Wei Min was angry just now, and originally wanted to call Yun Jian by her name, but after considering her image, she changed her words and reached out to grab Yun Jian's hand. Yun Jian dodged to the side and looked at everyone coldly. "If you don't believe me, then don't ask anymore." After saying that, she slung her backpack over her shoulder and left in a flash. She was so fast that Luo Jiejun and the rest could not turn back in time. Even so, Luo Jiejun was more and more interested in Yun Jian. At that moment, Luo Jiejun narrowed his eyes and looked at Yun Jian's back as she left. This is getting more and more interesting. Wei Lin, your every move, every word, and every action are truly different from the rest. It's unforgettable. It was 9:30 p.m. The Wei family members usually had a normal schedule. 9:30 p.m. was very early for night cats, but for the Wei family who were used to sleeping early and waking up early, it was already very late. The Wei family was ready to go to bed at 8 o'clock in the evening. At that moment, Yun Jian got up from her bed and walked out of her room. Yun Jian's steps were very light. She didn't even make the slightest sound as she walked through the Wei residence's corridors, stairs, and living room. After leaving the gate of the Wei family's villa, Yun Jian quickly disappeared in the night light. At this moment, in the kitchen of the Wei family villa, Wei Min had just fallen asleep when she suddenly felt thirsty. Half asleep, she went downstairs to get some water. However, just as she poured the water, she saw a black figure flashing through the window in the distance. That person! Isn't that Wei Lin? It's so late. Why is she sneaking out? Wei Min, who was still sleepy, suddenly woke up. She quickly ran to the door to change her shoes, took her phone, and chased after Yun Jian. Before she chased in the direction Yun Jian had left, Wei Min made a call. "Hello, is this brother Hong Ling? Let me tell you, I just woke up and was thirsty when I went downstairs to drink some water. Then I saw my sister go out in the middle of the night. I'm worried about her, so can you come with me?" After Yun Jian left the Wei residence, she came to a relatively lively area near the Wei residence. A yellow Corvette sports car was parked in front of her. Yin Jian walked forward, opened the yellow Corvette sports car, and got in. The car quickly started the engine and left the place. Top reading website, M. Chapter 23-26. Page 1/1. It was only after Yin Jian left that a figure popped out from the bushes. Looking closely, wasn't this person Wei Min? Wei Min was currently holding her phone and talking to Hong Ling on the other end of the phone while looking at the yellow Corvette sports car that Yin Jian was in. Hey, I'm still here. I didn't hang up. I was looking at my sister just now. She's in a yellow sports car. It's really cool. I think it's the latest Corvette sports car. Brother Hong Ling, I'm just worried about my sister. I'm afraid that she's hiding something from us. That's why I contacted you to follow her and take a look. Yes, I'm at Huangjiang Road now. I've called a taxi. I'll send you the location later. Come over quickly. As Wei Min spoke, she flagged down a passing taxi and got in before ordering the driver to follow the yellow Corvette sports car. Inside the yellow Corvette sports car, Yin Jian was in the front passenger seat. Qin Yu was in the driver's seat. Qin Yu was currently driving the yellow Corvette sports car, cruising slowly on the road. Have you found anything? Yin Jian asked. The information is here. It's the boss of Country Tea's underground black market who sent someone to assassinate you, Qin Yu said as she turned the steering wheel. Yin Jian narrowed her eyes at that. She flipped through the information in her hand manually before tossing it into the back seat of the sports car. When the information was tossed to the back seat, it drew a beautiful arc and landed firmly on the back seat. Sister Jian, what do you want to do? Qin Yu turned the steering wheel and whistled as she asked. I'll leave it to you. Her words determined a person's fate. Yin Jian closed her eyes. The boss of Country Tea's underground black market had sent someone to assassinate her because Yin Jian had killed Xian Yu in Marilena's tomb back then. To Yin Jian, this was just a small fry, nothing more. Okay. Qin Yu held the steering wheel with one hand and snapped her fingers with the other, looking relaxed and happy. Sister Jian, the three of them are waiting for you at a coffee shop in front. They'll be here soon, Qin Yu added. Yin Jian responded softly. It was then that Qin Yu narrowed her eyes and whistled again before saying in a playful tone, You're right. Yo, you're still continuing after following me for so long? Sister Jian, should I shake off the taxi that's been tailing us? Qin Yu had already noticed that a taxi was following her sports car unhurriedly. Yin Jian had naturally noticed as well. Let her do as she pleases. Yin Jian pursed her lips and narrowed her eyes. Wei Min, who was sitting in the taxi behind, had already hung up the phone. She was staring at the yellow sports car in front with a pair of eyes that could stare people to death. After a while, the yellow sports car turned a corner in her line of sight and parked in a downtown coffee shop. Wei Min could not help rolling her eyes at Yin Jian inwardly. Wei Lin could actually sit in a high-end sports car. It meant that she must be a mistress of a rich man. Or perhaps, she used to be someone's mistress. After all, she had been missing for 10 years. When an 8-year-old girl was picked up by someone, most of the time, it was with the intention of getting something out of her. It was even like in television dramas where a little girl who had been lost for 10 years was taken away to be a prostitute. She had to entertain customers every day, and was even ravaged by dozens of men. Wei Min thought that the owner of the car Yin Jian was the man who had taken care of or ravaged Yin Jian in the past. Just as Wei Min thought about it, the person in the car alighted. Yin Jian got out of the car. From the driver's seat, a teenage girl got out. Wei Min was stunned when she saw that it was not a plump middle-aged man who got down from the driver's seat. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Chapter 23-27. Soon, Wei Min saw Yin Jian and the girl walking into a coffee shop one after another. Yin Jian walked in front while the girl trailed behind. Moreover, the girl was following Yin Jian like she was facing her superior. Wei Min was stunned by the sight before a flash of annoyance washed over her. Wei Lin must be the mistress of a rich mogul. The mogul must be so fat that one would feel nauseous just by looking at him. The girl behind her should be the mogul's woman. Once she thought about it, Wei Min was infuriated. She was no longer a clean woman. Why did she come back to the Wei family? She even seduced her Jiejun Gij. Although Wei Min was angry in her heart, she still forcefully suppressed her anger. She had contacted Hong Ling just now. Once the girl arrived, she would rush in with her. If it was Yun Jian who met the middle-aged man with the beer belly, not only could she expose Yun Jian's facade on the spot, but she would also bring Wei Min along with her. She would tell Luo Jiejun the next day that Hong Ling would not lie. Even if Luo Jiejun did not believe that Yun Jian was a prostitute, he had to believe it. In the corner of the coffee shop, a screen blocked the view from the entrance. Yun Jian and Qing Yu came in and saw Diani, Gui Lian and Gui Yan. Sister Jian. All three of them greeted in unison when they saw Yun Jian. Diani, Gui Lian, and Gui Yan were the leaders of the Kosha mercenaries intelligence team, assassination team, and intelligence team. The three of them were here to report to Yun Jian what happened after they eliminated Reverse Emperor. There were some things that the Kosha mercenaries could handle on their own, but a lot of important matters had to go through Yun Jian. Hence, Diani, Gui Lian, and Gui Yan had to hand it over to Yun Jian personally. Cut the chatter. Speak. Yun Jian sat on a chair in front of the trio and spoke with narrowed eyes. Diani and the other two answered quickly. Outside the coffee shop, Wei Min finally waited for Hong Ling, but she didn't expect Hong Ling to bring Luo Jiejun along. Wei Min originally thought that if Yun Jian didn't meet with the middle-aged man who kept her, then wouldn't she? In spite of it, Wei Min shook her head, thinking that it was great that her handsome brother was here. If Yun Jian was really meeting the middle-aged man who was her sugar daddy, her handsome brother would probably lose interest in her after witnessing it with his own eyes. She's inside. I'm afraid that my sister has something she can't say so. Wei Min still wanted to put on a show, but Luo Jiejun didn't wait for her to finish speaking and walked into the coffee shop. With that dark face, those who didn't know would think that Luo Jiejun was here to catch them in the act. In fact, Luo Jiejun had heard about Yun Jian from Hong Ling, so he also thought that Yun Jian had abandoned herself to come out in the middle of the night to fool around with men. He wanted to ask her personally why she had fallen so low when she was still so good at teaching others. So Luo Jiejun ignored Wei Min and walked straight into the coffee shop. Just as he entered the coffee shop, he bumped into Yun Jian. Seeing this, Luo Jiejun asked directly, "Who are you meeting with?" Because there was a screen, Luo Jiejun couldn't see the person inside. Yun Jian didn't look surprised when she saw Luo Jiejun. At that time, Luo Jiejun couldn't hear Yun Jian's response. He walked past Yun Jian and the screen angrily. Wei Min and Hong Ling followed after seeing this. Unexpectedly, just as the three of them thought that they would see a fat man with a big belly in front of them, Luo Jiejun, Hong Ling, and Wei Min's mouths were suddenly covered. The three of them were shocked. What kind of person could be so fast? To be able to subdue them so quickly? Just as they were about to struggle, there was a sudden cracking sound in their heads. Diani and the other two subdued Luo Jiejun and the other two. 3 bright muzzles were placed on Luo Jiejun and the other two's heads. At that time, Yun Jian retreated behind the screen. This was a place where outsiders couldn't see. She glanced sideways at Luo Jiejun and the other two. Then, in front of the three of them, as their pupils constricted, she sneered. "You came uninvited? Do you think you've lived for too long?" Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 23-28. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. The sudden turn of events caught Luo Jiejun, Hong Ling, and Wei Min off guard. Luo Jiejun, Hong Ling, and Wei Min reacted abruptly before they heard Yun Jian's sharp and cold voice and saw that Yun Jian had already appeared before them. The eyes of the three sunk, and a trace of fear flashed across their faces. In an instant, 3 people pointed their guns at their heads. Obviously, the strength of those 3 people was stronger than them. They were so strong that they could not even react in time. And the most frightening thing wasn't the sudden appearance of 3 people behind the large screen in the coffee shop, nor was it the fact that these 3 people were armed with pistols. It was these 3 people who were armed with guns and were so skilled seemed to be Yun Jian's subordinates. When Yun Jian finished, Luo Jiejun, Hongling, and Wei Min froze. Especially Wei Min had wanted to get hold of Yun Jian's weakness, thinking that Yun Jian was negotiating with a plump middle-aged man, and could possibly find out where she had gone, and what she had done in the past 10 years that they had been separated from. In the end, not only did they fail to find out where Yun Jian had gone, and what Yun Jian had done in the past 10 years, they even had a gun pointed at their heads. Wei Min's face turned pale. She was so scared that she shivered. Their mouths were muffled by Dai Annie, Hongling, and Hongling while Luo Jiejun was looking at Yun Jian with a scrutinizing frown. He looked like he was interrogating Yun Jian. "Are we going to kill them?" Qingyu asked as she followed Yun Jian from behind the screen in the coffee shop to stand behind Yun Jian. Qingyu, Dai Annie, and Hongling knew that Yun Jian's current identity was the Wei family's youngest daughter, Wei Lin, so Qingyu did not address Yun Jian as Sister Jian in front of Luo Jiejun, Hongling, and Hongling. The plain words "kill them" made Luo Jiejun, Hongling, and Wei Min's heart skip a beat. Luo Jiejun, Hongling, and Hongling also saw that Dai Annie, Gui Lian, and Gui Yin who were holding them down nodded at Qingyu when she came out from behind the screen. It looked like they were nodding at their superiors. That was the truth. Qingyu was an elder in the Kosha mercenaries, so her status was higher than Dai Annie, Hongling, and Hongling. Yun Jian's brow arched when she heard what Qingyu said. Then she curled her red lips and gave a single order: kill. The next day, Luo Jiejun woke up groggily on his bed. Luo Jiejun reached out to rub his hair. Putting aside the other faults, Luo Jiejun really did have some fresh and handsome looks. Yesterday. After Luo Jiejun grabbed his hair, he suddenly recalled the scene that happened last night. But in his memories, those scenes were so unreal. Luo Jiejun went downstairs and grabbed his school bag. He didn't even have time to eat the breakfast prepared by the servants at home, and ran to school. He went straight to Yun Jian's classroom as soon as he entered the school. Yun Jian was sitting in her seat. "Ah, it's Junxiao. Am I seeing things? It's Junxiao. He's so handsome. Why is Junxiao in our classroom? Ah." When the surrounding girls suddenly saw Luo Jiejun's figure, their sharp voices almost rose from their throats. The girls shrieked. Before they could finish screaming, Luo Jiejun walked up to Yun Jian and looked at Yun Jian with an interrogating expression. He then reached out to grab Yun Jian's wrist. Who knew that when Luo Jiejun reached out to grab Yun Jian's wrist, Yun Jian dodged to the side and grabbed her deskmate Luo Jiechen, who was sleeping on the desk, by his collar, and tossed him into Luo Jiejun's arms, preventing him from touching him. Luo Jiechen was speechless. "Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing?" Luo Jiejun held Luo Jiechen up and stared at Yun Jian. He then questioned Yun Jian in front of everyone in class and the girls. "What the hell happened last night?" Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Chapter 23-29. Luo Jiejun was originally a celebrity in the Imperial College. None of the students who studied in the Imperial College didn't know him. Moreover, 80% of the girls in the school secretly had a crush on Luo Jiejun. The other 20% were divided among the other school hunks. Seeing this, Luo Jiejun had caused a storm as soon as he arrived in Yun Jian's classroom. And what made the girls even more shocked was that Luo Jiejun actually walked directly to Yun Jian's seat. The 4 words "last night" made the group of crazy Luo Jiejun fans in Yun Jian's class scream to the peak when they heard it. The young master of the Luo family, Luo Jiejun, had stayed away from the girls since he entered the school. It was even said that the young master of the Luo family, Luo Jiejun, didn't have a good impression of girls at all. But today Luo Jiejun walked directly to Yun Jian and said such shocking words. It made everyone present feel that something happened between Yun Jian and Luo Jiejun last night. "Ah, young Master Jun didn't just come to our classes, Wei Lin. Did something happen between them last night? It's so exciting and explosive. I'm so envious. When will I be able to get young Master Jun's attention like this?" That Wei Lin must have accumulated a few lifetimes worth of fortune to have young Master Jun personally come to our class. Young Master Jun even took the initiative to reach out and hold her hand. "Young Master Jun is so handsome, ah. I'm about to be charmed to death, ah." The surrounding girls brought the atmosphere to the climax. At this moment, Luo Jiechen had already reacted. He suddenly realized that he was lying in his big brother's arms after waking up. He was so shocked that he suddenly jumped up. Damn, big brother, why are you here? What the hell? Why are you looking for Wei Lin? Is your phone broken and you need Wei Lin to help you fix it? That's not right, your pocket money wasn't deducted by your family. Luo Jiechen was stunned after he reacted and said in shock. At this time, Luo Jiejun didn't reply to Luo Jiechen. He just stared at Yun Jian, as if he wanted to find the answer to his question from Yun Jian. Just now, Yun Jian was still flipping through the textbook. When she saw Luo Jiejun reaching out to grab her wrist, she dodged to the side and directly pulled Luo Jiechen's collar and stuffed him into Luo Jiejun's arms. At this time, she was still sitting in her seat and flipping through the textbook. Yun Jian pressed her lips together at Luo Jiejun's words. She did not even look up as she spoke to him calmly. Last night? Don't tell me you've overdone it and got hallucinations. You should go to the hospital for treatment. After saying that, Luo Yun, SSS Luo's, she didn't even raise her S. This Wei Lin really doesn't know what's good for her. Isas's hala. Titasestesti. Ites. S hers teat. Ss. Her. Onzon. Is. Of yin yuans. The surrounding girls also started to talk to each other. This had no effect on Yun Jian at all. She actually said that he was hallucinating. Luo Jiejun scratched his head. He wasn't spouting nonsense. Yesterday really did seem like a dream. But why did that dream feel so real? Did I really make a mistake? Luo Jiejun suddenly asked. As he spoke, he shook his head and did not speak to Yun Jian again. He turned around and walked out slowly. What's wrong with that? Big brother, are you having a wet dream? Seeing that Luo Jiejun suddenly reacted and walked out, Luo Jiechen smiled and shouted at Luo Jiejun from behind. The girls in the class were also shocked when they saw Luo Jiejun's reaction. What was going on? At that time, in a place where no one could see, Yun Jian's slightly raised smile flashed past in an instant and disappeared without a trace. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile version of reading website, M. Chapter 2330. Luo Jiejun and the other two couldn't die. That was why Yun Jian only ordered Diani and the other two to knock Luo Jiejun, and the other two unconscious. After that, Yun Jian hypnotized Luo Jiejun and the other two, making what happened last night seem like a dream to Luo Jiejun and the other two. Hypnotism was extensive and profound, so it was still possible to do something like this. At night, school was over as usual. As soon as she walked out of the classroom, a cheerful figure ran towards her. It was a girl with a smile on her face. After the girl passed a black bag to Yun Jian, she flashed a wide grin at Yun Jian and said, "Hey Yun Jian. Thank you. Thank you so much. I've already thought it through. You're right. Of course my dad's and my so-called worthless dignity is more important than my dad's. Who cares what other people think? My mom and dad were already old when they gave birth to me. My mom unfortunately passed away, so it was my dad who brought me up. Everything I have was given to me by my dad. What can those people who mocked and ridiculed me give me? Why should I care so much about what they think? Let them say what they want. I'm living very well now. My dad will come and pick me up from school today. In the future, he'll send me to school before going to the market to sell vegetables." That's right. The person who came was Ling Qianqian, who smashed the old man's umbrella and cried in the rain yesterday. She didn't expect that after just one night. She had already thought it through. So this is my reward. Yun Jian lifted the pickled cabbage in her hand and said to Ling Qianqian with narrowed eyes. That's right. Although this isn't anything precious, you know my family's financial situation. Haha, when I graduate and earn a lot of money, I'll treat you to a big meal. Ling Qianqian nodded. Ling Qianqian, who had thought it through, was clearly much more optimistic. Then I'll accept it without hesitation. Yun Jian lifted the pickled cabbage in the black bag and carried her bag with her other hand. She slung the bag over her shoulder and turned to leave the school. At this moment, Ling Qianqian didn't know that after she graduated and started working, she would never be able to contact Yun Jian again. Perhaps many years later, Ling Qianqian could still recall Yun Jian, but Yun Jian's appearance in her memory was already a blur in her heart. She could only rely on her memories. She could vaguely remember Yun Jian's always calm and indifferent face with a slight smile. That face was a face that changed her life. In a person's life, they would meet many people. Schoolmates, travelers, people from the same city, people from different countries. When they parted, they would never meet again. They would never meet again in their lifetime. They would never even have a ways contact. If you carefully think about it, you would have remembered many people's faces to think. But perhaps the other party didn't leave a deep impression on you, so you simply ignored them. After Yun left the schools to go. As soon as she arrived, she saw Luo Jiejun, Luo Jiechen, Hong Ling, Wei Zhe and Wei Min. There were many dining tables in the Wei family's hall. It looked like they were going to hold a small party. They had even invited some rich families and their children to attend tonight's small party. Seeing this, Yun Jian walked past them and was about to go upstairs. But at this moment, a 16 or 17-year-old girl dressed like a doll princess suddenly stood in front of Yun Jian. She stared at Yun Jian with a proud expression and said in front of Wei Min and the others, "This is the Wei family's youngest daughter, Wei Lin, who was found after being missing for 10 years. Please remember the domain name of this book." Mobile version of reading website. Chapter 2331. This young girl, who was dressed as delicately as a doll, spoke with the arrogance that only a princess would have. That was something that outsiders could never learn. At that moment, the young girl was examining Yun Jian with a probing gaze. It was as if a high and mighty princess was looking at a commoner. However, before Yun Jian could say anything, the young girl said, "You're quite pretty, but don't you have any ideas about my big brother? Let me tell you, my future sister-in-law can only be Sister Min. Luo Lanlan, if you say another word, you'll scram home immediately." Just as the young girl finished speaking, a furious voice sounded. Luo Jiejun looked at the young girl with a warning expression and spoke. Suddenly hearing her big brother's voice, the young girl named Luo Lanlan was stunned. Then she pouted and continued, "It's true. I like Sister Min." This young girl, who was dressed like a doll, was called Luo Lanlan. She was Luo Jiejun and Luo Jiechen's biological sister. After hearing Luo Jiejun's words, although Luo Lanlan was unwilling, she still twitched the corner of her mouth and resisted. When Wei Min heard Luo Lanlan's words, she was happy for a moment. Even if it was just a little bit related to Luo Jiejun, Wei Min would still be very excited. However, on the surface, Wei Min still had to pretend to be a very good sister. She coughed, then pulled Luo Lanlan's hand and said, "Lanlan's Sister Min likes you too. But Lin is also my sister. She left home for more than 10 years and has no one to rely on outside. I feel very sad. I don't know what kind of life she's living outside." As she spoke, Wei Min wiped the corners of her eyes that did not have any tears at all. "Sister Min, you're so nice. It's Big Brother's fortune to have married you." Luo Lanlan was a very gullible young girl. She really believed Wei Min's words. At that time, Yun Jian did not say anything. As soon as Luo Lanlan and Wei Min spoke, she walked past them and went upstairs. Seeing Yun Jian going upstairs, Luo Jiejun wanted to chase after her, but was stopped by Luo Lanlan. Therefore Luo Jiejun could only watch as Yun Jian went upstairs. In his heart, he thought that he must secretly go up and find Yun Jian later. Yun Jian didn't want to attend the Wei family's small party at all. She planned to go back to her room and sleep. Just as he opened the door to his room and closed the door, a black shadow suddenly pounced on him. After the black shadow pounced on him, he closed the door with a click. In the next second, the shadow wrapped her in his arms. Yun Jian also felt a familiar aura, so she let him go. "Xiao Jian." Si Yi's voice rang as expected. Didn't you go to the God's continent?" Yun Jian was just about to ask. Si Yi covered Yun Jian's mouth and pressed Yun Jian against the door, kissing her for a few minutes. After the kiss, Ce had taken off her clothes and pants, leaving only her underwear. Then, someone pressed Yunjian against the door and went straight to the point. Outside the corridor, Luo Jiejun, who had finally managed to avoid his younger sister Luo Lanlan, and Wei Min was searching Yunjian's room one by one. Luo Jiejun had asked Wei Zhe about Yunjian's room just now, so he was confident when he came looking for her. Luo Jiejun had just arrived outside the room he and Yunjian were staying in. Delighted, he was going to knock on the door. However, the door shook a few times as if someone was doing something unspeakable on the door. Then a moan rang in the room. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 2332. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Page 1/1. That light breathing sound, which could not be heard clearly if one did not listen carefully, was Luo Jiejun's eyelids twitched violently, as if he had been electrocuted, his whole body trembling. Wasn't the sound coming from Wei Lin's room? This sound, coupled with the door that was shaking. Luo Jiejun's brows furrowed tightly at the same time. He walked over with his heart in his mouth. Wei Lin. Wei Lin. Wei Lin. The moment he furrowed his brows, Luo Jiejun rushed towards the shaking door almost at the same time. Wei Lin, are you in there? Are you in there? Ha. Can you answer me? Luo Jiejun's first thought was that there was a guest from the Wei family downstairs dragging Yunjian into the room and forcing himself on her. In reality, Luo Jiejun's guess was right. Inside, Ce was staring at Yunjian, who only bloomed for him with a pair of starry eyes. He had one hand on the door and the other on her slender waist, pressing Yunjian against the door and doing something shameful. The knocking and shouting outside the door reached Ce's ears. Hearing this, Ce's eyes flashed sharply. A murderous intent flashed in his eyes, and his movements became faster and more violent. Yunjian covered her mouth, almost moaning loudly. She almost couldn't hold it in, but his face was still calm, as if she was the only one doing this, and he was just watching from the side. Outside the room, Luo Jiejun was about to break down. He, Luo Jiejun, the eldest son of the Luo family, finally had an interest in a girl, but that girl was now being pressed against the door. Thinking of this, Luo Jiejun felt like he was going crazy. Wei Lin. Wei Lin. Wei Lin. Luo Jiejun knocked on the door for a while. This knocking attracted Luo Lanlan and Wei Min, who were looking for Luo Jiejun, who had just realized that he was missing, and came over. Brother Jiejun, why are you here? When Wei Min saw that Luo Jiejun had just shaken her off and actually went to Yunjian's boudoir, her anger was ignited in an instant. Do you have the key to your sister Wei Lin's bedroom? Open the door. Luo Jiejun asked loudly almost at the same time when he saw Wei Min. Wei Min had known Luo Jiejun for a long time, but this was the first time she saw Luo Jiejun looking at her with such a nervous expression. One had to know that Luo Jiejun, the most popular guy in Imperial College, was the future successor of Luo's group. Even if the sky fell, Luo Jiejun would never panic. But today Luo Jiejun was actually standing at the door of that little bitch Wei Lin's bedroom and shouting at her. Disgust flashed through Wei Min's heart. She clenched her fists, but considering that she had to show off in front of Luo Jiejun, Wei Min turned around to get the keys. About 5 minutes later, Wei Min came back with a key. This is the key to Lin Er's room. Brother Jiejun, what happened to Lin? Wei Min hesitated to give the key to Luo Jiejun. Luo Jiejun did not even look at Wei Min. He walked over and took the key from Wei Min's hand. Brother, what's wrong with you? Sister Min is worried about you, so she hurriedly dragged me to look for you. Why are you still treating Sister Min like this? Even Luo Jiejun's sister, Luo Lanlan, pursed her lips and said unhappily. But Luo Jiejun was thinking about Yunjian at this moment. He could not be bothered with his sister and Wei Min at all. He inserted the key into Yunjian's bedroom door and twisted it open. Luo Jiejun could not wait to open the door when he suddenly saw. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. Chapter 2333. Page 1/1. The moment the door opened, Yunjian was standing at the entrance. She wore a long shirt that ended at her knees, the loose-fitting garment covering her alluring figure. Her hair was damp and her skin was as smooth and delicate as a newborn baby's. A pinch of her cheeks was enough to squeeze water out of them. The moment the door was opened, a barking sound came from inside. Woof woof, woof woof woof. Following that, a snow-white little dog came out of Yunjian's room, wagging its tail. From its expression, it seemed to be very impatient. There was a trace of red on the snow-white puppy's forehead. It was obvious that this dog was the culprit behind all the banging on the door. At least, that was what Luo Jiejun thought. Luo Jiejun's expression froze, and he was startled. His expression did not look good. What's the matter? Yunjian was holding a towel and was wiping her wet black hair. This was the first time Luo Jiejun and Wei Min saw Yunjian with her ponytail scattered over her shoulders. Yunjian with her hair scattered over her shoulders gave people a different kind of beauty, especially after taking a bath. Yunjian's skin was even smoother and more delicate. Her fair face, coupled with her sharp eyes. At this moment, Luo Jiejun felt as if he was looking at a fairy who had accidentally fallen into the mortal world. Even Luo Jiejun himself did not realize that his gaze was fixated on Yunjian, as if he was a pervert. Brother Jiejun, did you just think that something had happened to Lin? Look at Lin, isn't she fine? Lin must be tired and wants to sleep early. I think we shouldn't disturb her sleep. Let's go. Seeing how Luo Jiejun's eyes were glued to Yunjian like magnets, Wei Min's womanly jealousy exploded. She tugged at Luo Jiejun's arm in an attempt to pull him away. In the future, don't randomly open my door. Unless you're tired of living, I can be merciful and send you on your way. Right after Wei Min said that, Yunjian spoke up with a cold expression. After she finished speaking, she didn't give Wei Min, Luo Jiejun, and Luo Lanlan a chance to react. She stretched out her slender and beautiful hand and closed the door. After Yunjian closed the door, Luo Jiejun was still unable to react to Yunjian's beauty for a long time. He was stunned for a while before he was led away by Wei Min. Tsk, what are you talking about? You're acting like a rich young lady, and you're not letting me open the door? Wasn't she just someone who was found after being separated for 10 years? Hadn't she tasted the bitterness of the past? How could she throw a tantrum so quickly? Tsk, how shameless. After Luo Lanlan heard what Yunjian said, she was subconsciously implanted with negative thoughts about Yunjian, because Wei Min had pulled her aside to badmouth Yunjian just now. Therefore, Luo Lanlan's first thought after listening to Yunjian was to mock Yunjian. Luo Jiejun, Wei Min, and Luo Lanlan finally went downstairs. In the bedroom, just as Yunjian closed the door, Si, who was standing in the bathroom beside the bedroom, hugged Yunjian from behind. Since Yunjian was wearing a long top, it covered her thighs. She wore nothing underneath her long legs. Xiaojian, you're mine. Si said nothing else. After he hugged Yunjian, one of his hands slid under Yunjian's top. Aha. Translator. Hinyi Translations Editor. Hinyi Translations. Chapter 2334. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Page 1/1. The night was long. In the Wei family's living room, guests from all walks of life were celebrating. Upstairs in Yunjian's room, it was a romantic scene. Ce stayed in Yunjian's room for the night before leaving. He was supposed to return to the God's continent, but before he left the Inhun organization, he came here to look for Yunjian because he missed her. Ce had a lot of things to do today, so he shouldn't have come to Puyo City to look for Yunjian. However, he hadn't seen Yunjian for a few days. His thoughts overshadowed his rationality, so Ce took the time to look for Yunjian. He also did it with the woman he loved while he was at it. As for Luo Jiejun, Ce didn't even ask Yunjian about it. That was because Ce trusted Yunjian from the bottom of his heart. Without love, there was no need for a heart-to-heart talk. Both parties could tell with just a glance that the other party was even more intimate. 3 days had passed since the Wei family's small dinner party. 3 days later, Luo Jiejun had a new discovery. Hey, Wei Lin, let me tell you, I've got new information. Didn't something happen at the construction site? and then it was sealed off by the police? But 15 days later, the police invited experts to the construction site to investigate the case. With my ability, it's not impossible to bring people in to take a look. That's because the professional is my dad's friend. How about it? Do you want to take a look? Luo Jiechen had been trying his best to please Yun Jian these days. He couldn't wait to tell Yun Jian all the information he had. That was because Luo Jiechen's phone had been breaking down more and more recently. Initially, it would break down once every 2 days, but recently, it had been breaking down twice or thrice a day. It wasn't that Yun Jian didn't fix it well, but that Luo Jiechen had gone overboard. Hearing Luo Jiechen's words, Yun Jian's eyes moved. She nodded and said, "Your phone broke down again? Ah, Wei Lin, you're too amazing. How did you find out that my phone was broken again? Don't tell me you have the ability to predict the future." Hearing Yun Jian's words, Luo Jiechen was stunned for a moment before he spoke. "My phone is broken. The more you investigate this matter for me, the more diligent you are." Yun Jian pointed out Luo Jiechen's secret in one sentence. Hearing this, Luo Jiechen pursed his lips. It seemed that he was indeed like that. Monday Rally. Imperial College Big Field. The principal of the Imperial College solemnly announced on the rostrum that the male students of the Imperial College would have a fencing competition 3 days later. The fencing competition was a unique event of the Imperial College. The fencing competition will be held in front of all the teachers and students. And this fencing competition was a competition that had been passed down since the founding of the Imperial College in the last century. The students studying in the Imperial College were not like other schools. Most of the students here were from rich families, so the college would have many activities like fencing competitions, which would be held in front of all the teachers and students. This year's fencing competition will officially begin 3 days later. If there are any male students who would like to sign up for the fencing competition, please go to the registration office to sign up. The rewards for this year's fencing competition are rich. One of the rewards is that if you win the first place, second place, and third place in the fencing competition, I will allow you to go to the forbidden area of our Imperial College. At the same time, there will be many other rewards, so I hope that everyone will sign up enthusiastically, so that our school's unique fencing competition can be passed down and carried forward. Top reading website, M. Chapter 2335. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Chapter 2335 Campus Rebirth. The strongest female Secret Service agent. Please wait for a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 2336. The fencing competition was the symbol of the Imperial College. It was also the legacy of the Imperial College's founder, John, who brought it from country Y in the last century. The first person who founded the Imperial College, John, was an aristocrat in country Y. During John's era, the leader of country Y was the queen, a woman. Therefore, the status of women in country Y was not low. When John first came to country Z to build the Imperial College, he advocated equality between men and women. Therefore, girls could participate in the fencing competition with boys and would not be mocked. At that time, the girls were also very brave. Indeed, there were many champions, runners-up and third-place finishers in the annual fencing competition. But today, the girls were afraid of leaving a bad impression in front of the boys, so no one signed up for the fencing competition. Part of the reason was that they were afraid of being mocked. The fencing competition also changed from a heroic battle of the past to something that the boys could show off in front of the girls. Back to the main topic. The most recent time that a girl from the Imperial College won the championship was 50 years ago. For 50 years, no girl from the Imperial College could break the record of winning the championship again. It was not that no girl had ever participated in the competition. Take last year's annual fencing competition as an example. There were a few courageous girls who signed up for it. Not to mention breaking the record that no girl had won the championship again in 50 years. It was quite difficult to even get into the top 100 contestants. And the person who won the championship for 3 consecutive years was Luo Jiejun. Who was Luo Jiejun? He was the eldest son of the Luo group, the future successor. His studies, appearance and strength were on par. He had participated in the fencing competition for 3 years, and had never lost. Therefore, when Yunjian said this, everyone was dumbfounded. You said you want to win the championship of this year's fencing competition? Do you know what you are saying? Let's not talk about whether you have learned fencing or not. Our Master Jun has won the championship for 3 years. Master Jun is not only proficient in fencing, but also in fighting. Master Jun once stopped a group of 30 people from fighting. He beat the 30 people up so badly that they did not dare to disobey him. What about you? What qualifications do you have to compete with our Master Jun? Moreover, there are so many outstanding talents in our college. You're just a new transfer student. After hearing Yunjian's words, the girl who was grooming herself in front of the mirror couldn't help but stand up and refute Yunjian loudly. Exactly. Young Master Jun is handsome, his conduct is good, and his family background is even better. Who do you think you are? Did she think that she could surpass young Master Jun in terms of strength just because she had gotten close to young Master Chin? Or do you think that you're amazing just because young Master Jun pays a little attention to you? Let me tell you, young Master Jun is just playing with you because you're new to him. Who knows, he might get sick of you in 2 days. As soon as Yunjian arrived, she immediately attracted the attention of the 2 most handsome men in the academy. The girls had long had opinions about Yunjian. Now that she had the opportunity, she really thought that she had grasped Yunjian's weakness, and began to fight back with fierce words. What right did she have to attract the attention of the 2 most handsome men in their college? She was the youngest daughter of the Wei family, who had just been found after being separated from the Wei family for 10 years. Yunjian was talking about the fencing competition, but the girls in the class kept on talking about other things. Yunjian sneered and couldn't be bothered with them anymore. She put her hands in her trouser pockets and walked out of the classroom, ignoring the group of girls who kept on talking behind her. Enough. All of you shut up. If you keep on talking, I'll sell you to the women's brothel. Luo Jiechun shouted when he heard the girls' discussion. Reality proved that the Luo family's little tyrant, Luo Jiechun, still had his dignity. The group of girls trembled in fear when they heard Luo Jiechun shout. They immediately swallowed their saliva, and didn't dare to make a sound. Luo Jiechun glared at the group of girls again, then chased after Yunjian. At the registration area of the college's fencing department, a good-looking boy was sitting at a desk at the registration area, registering the students who had signed up for the fencing competition. This good-looking boy had his head lowered. He didn't raise his head after registering a few students' names. He only wrote down the name and class. Name, class, the boy said after he finished registering. The next student who had signed up for the fencing competition immediately spoke up. Wei Lin, Year 1, Class 1. The boy's face froze when he heard this beautiful female voice. A female voice? A girl had signed up for the fencing competition? The boy suddenly raised his head and looked at the person who had signed up. When he saw that person, a look of surprise and astonishment flashed across his face. Please remember the domain name of this book, .com. Wonderful Book Mobile Version Website, .com. Chapter 2337. You really want to participate in the fencing competition? The boy looked at Yunjian, swallowed a mouthful of saliva, and repeated the question. Write it. Yunjian, who was standing in front of the boy, didn't directly answer the boy's question. Instead, she simply said this sentence. Perhaps Yunjian's gaze was too frightening. The boy trembled after hearing it. Then the boy didn't dare to ask anymore. He moved his hand and wrote down Yunjian's name and class. The boy secretly cursed in his heart. This girl looks so thin and weak. Is she serious about participating in the fencing competition? But this sentence, the boy only cursed in his heart and didn't say it out loud. After Yunjian finished signing up, Luo Jiechun, who also finished signing up, walked out of the fencing department's registration area. Halfway through, she bumped into Luo Jiejun, Hongling Weizhe, and Wei Min. Seeing Yunjian, Luo Jiejun's eyes flashed with obvious surprise. But he didn't show it on his face. Luo Jiejun stopped Yun Jian and asked, Wei Lin, you came with Jiechen to sign up? Subconsciously, Luo Jiejun thought that Yun Jian wouldn't come here to sign up for the fencing competition. She was just a girl. No. Brother, I came with her to sign up, and I also signed up for myself. Luo Jiechen quickly explained after hearing Luo Jiejun's words. Hearing Luo Jiechen's words, Yun Jian's brother, Wei Zhe, was stunned and questioned loudly, You want to sign up for the fencing competition? Why not? Hearing Wei Zhe's question, Yun Jian raised her eyebrows and coldly said, If you want to participate in the fencing competition, it's fine if you win, but if you lose, you'll lose our Wei family's face. So hurry up and withdraw from the fencing competition. Go and remove the names from the list right now. Wei Zhe couldn't help but order Yun Jian. At this point Wei Zhe, who thought that he was Yun Jian's brother, wanted to grab Yun Jian's hand and drag Yun Jian to the fencing department's registration area to force Yun Jian to remove the name. Unexpectedly, Wei Zhe wanted to grab Yun Jian's hand and drag her away by force, but before his hand could touch her, Yun Jian dodged his hand with a sidestep. In an instant, everyone present heard Yun Jian's extremely cold voice, as cold as -°C. So, are you ordering me? Wei Lin, Lin are our brothers thinking for you. You can't be so willful. You said you've been separated for 10 years, so when did you learn fencing? You didn't even participate in the family's special training. That's why. How are you going to compete with those who are strong? Let's stop. Wei Min wanted to kill Yun Jian, so she almost lost control and spoke to Yun Jian viciously in front of everyone. Fortunately, she stopped herself in time. Before Wei Min could finish, however, just as everyone thought that Yun Jian should have realized her mistake, a voice rang out. Suddenly, a figure flashed in front of them. Yun Jian, who was in front of them, moved to Wei Zhe's back in a flash like a flash of lightning. Wei Zhe was shocked. He quickly turned around and reached out. However, no matter how fast Wei Zhe's reaction was, Yun Jian immediately grabbed his arm when he reached out. In the next second, Yun Jian grabbed the joints of his arm and hit them twice. Wei Zhe was shocked to realize that when Yun Jian hit his arm, it was as if his acupoints were hit and he couldn't exert any strength. What's going on? What kind of skill is this? Before Wei Zhe could react, Yun Jian had already let go of Wei Zhe's hand and kicked Wei Zhe's lower waist from behind. Wei Zhe staggered forward a few steps before he stabilized himself. This scene caused an uproar in the audience. However, just as the people present witnessed Yun Jian's attack for the first time, and were shocked by Yun Jian's speed, accuracy, and ruthlessness, they heard Yun Jian's words again. There was a hint of arrogance in her words that no one could go against. Before the end of the competition, both of your hands can no longer hold anything. I'll accept your hands. I won't kill you, but remember, you're not the only person in this world who dares to order me around. However, the only person who ordered me around and didn't get killed by me is you, my good brother. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile version of reading website. Chapter 2338. Yun Jian's words were loud and clear, and they echoed throughout the hall. Everyone was shocked when they heard Yun Jian's words. She accepted his hand? What did that mean? Just as everyone was stunned by Yun Jian's arrogant tone, but did not know what she meant, Yun Jian's voice rang out. What did you do to my hand? Why can't I use my hand? A nervous voice suddenly sounded. Everyone's expression froze when they heard this. They turned to look at the source of the voice, and it was Wei Zhe. Wei Zhe's hand was like a pile of mud after being hit by Yun Jian at the joints. It was difficult for him to even raise his hand, not to mention whether he could hold the foil in the fencing competition 3 days later. Boom. Everyone's faces turned pale when they heard Wei Zhe's words. What Zhe are you talking about? She can make your hand lose its strength? Hongling grabbed Wei Zhe's hand and asked in shock. Wei Zhe tried many times, but the parts of his arm that Yun Jian had grabbed and tapped on were immobilized. His expression darkened before he uttered in fear. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. I really can't move. Wei Zhe looked at Yun Jian with fear for the first time. He felt that his sister, who had returned to the Wei family after being separated for 10 years, was so mysterious and scary. Wei Lin, what did you do to Big Brother? Big Brother is representing the Wei family in the fencing competition 3 days later. What did you go through outside? Why are you so vicious? Wei Min did not hesitate to shout at Yun Jian when she saw that. Wei Min wasn't stupid. She spoke to Yun Jian in such a way in front of Luo Jiejun, because it would be abnormal if she wasn't angry at Yun Jian. Vicious? Yun Jian sneered when she heard Wei Min's words. You even want to poison your own brother. You've already lost your mind. Wei Lin, I sincerely welcome you back to the Wei family. As your elder sister, I have been worried about your safety day and night for the past 10 years that you were separated from me. I was so worried that I woke up in the middle of the night. I dreamed that you were crying and shouting that you were scared and wanted to go home. When I woke up at night, I couldn't stop crying because I was worried about you. But you even wanted to harm our own brother. How did you become like this? As Wei Min spoke, tears welled up in the corners of her eyes. Those who didn't know would really think that Wei Min was sad and worried about Yun Jian. She played the role of a good sister perfectly. In fact, Wei Min was indeed so frightened that she woke up in the middle of the night. Due to Wei Lin's disappearance, she was so frightened that she couldn't stop crying. That was because Wei Min had dreamt that she had purposely fabricated the story of her younger sister, Wei Lin, who had accidentally gone missing. She had dreamt that Wei Lin had died and had turned into a malicious spirit to seek revenge. Therefore, Wei Min had been scared awake and cried. This was completely true. Then, what kind of person did you think I was in the beginning? Just as Wei Min was crying in front of everyone with the face of a good sister, Yun Jian's voice suddenly rang out. Kind-hearted? Bullied by you? From what you're saying, it seems that you're all right. After Yun Jian finished speaking, her red arc rose. In the next second, the rising red arc fell. Luo Jiejun and the others were taken aback by the nonchalant look on her face. What she said next rang out abruptly and echoed throughout the hall. You're right. You're right. I'm sorry, I'm not that kind of person. Vicious? I'll be very responsible to tell you that a group of people once said that I was the most terrifying devil in the world. I think the word vicious is an underestimation of me. So if you want to see how vicious I can be, you can give it a try. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 2339. Normally, when a girl heard others say that she was vicious, she would either try to defend herself or try her best to salvage the vicious image she left in front of others. However, Luo Jiejun, Hongling, Wei Zhe, and everyone else present had never seen someone like Yun Jian. When people said that she had a vicious heart, they were comparing her to a vicious villain. However, not only did she admit that she had a vicious heart, she even said such words to everyone present. The scariest demon in the world, then. He thought about what Yun Jian said to Ling Qianqian when she faced her. Luo Jiejun's eyes turned sharp. What kind of past did she have? Why was it that the more he wanted to get closer to her, and the more he wanted to understand her, the more secrets he discovered about her? Where had she been for the past 10 years? What kind of life had she lived? In spite of that, Luo Jiejun's interest in Yun Jian grew as more and more secrets piled up on her. He wanted to pry open her inner world, and see what she had gone through in the past. If Luo Jiejun had looked at Yun Jian differently before, then at this moment, Luo Jiejun's curiosity about Yun Jian had been completely aroused. Yun Jian's words had a magical power that made people unable to remain calm. For some reason, after Wei Min heard Yun Jian's words, she couldn't help but shiver. Then, she stared at Yun Jian for 2 seconds. She was about to speak. And Miss Xiaoxiao, bad news. Something has happened. Something big has happened. Hurry and come back with me. Just as Wei Min was about to speak, a hurried voice sounded. Looking closely, the person who came was actually the Wei family's head butler, someone sent by the Wei family's old master, Wei Xiao. Suddenly seeing the Wei family's head butler rushing to the school to find her, Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. In the next second, she didn't want to be entangled with Wei Min and the others. She quickly caught up with the Wei family's head butler, and walked back to the Wei family. Before the Wei family's head butler left, he stopped Wei Min, Wei Zhe, and the others. Please don't go together. Something big has happened. If the young masters and young ladies go together, they might lose their lives. What about her? She's already gone. As a man, I can't back out, Luo Jiejun said as he pushed the Wei family's head steward aside and followed after him. Wei Min liked Luo Jiejun, so she naturally couldn't watch Luo Jiejun go alone. And Wei Zhe wanted to protect his sister, so he naturally followed along. As for Luo Jiechen and Hong Ling, because they were brothers, they also followed. On the way, the Wei family's head butler explained the situation clearly. A group of people rushed into the house and captured Old Master. They even let me out and asked me to bring young Miss back within an hour. Otherwise, they will. The head steward of the Wei clan stopped speaking at this point. However, everyone present could feel that returning to the Wei clan would definitely be a battle of life and death. Yin Jian got out of the car and said to them coldly, "You don't have to come here to die. They're targeting me." With that, Yin Jian walked towards the entrance of the Wei residence. "I'll go with you. I'm strong enough to protect you," Luo Jiejun said. But just as Luo Jiejun said this, he saw that Yin Jian had already arrived at the entrance of the Wei residence. Before stepping into the Wei residence, Luo Jiejun and the others suddenly saw Yin Jian take off her cotton-padded clothes. She was wearing a black tights and black tights underneath. There were countless knives and pistols strapped to her thighs and waist. There was also an eagle claw strapped to the back of her waist. She looked even more like a special agent in the movies. Luo Jiejun was stunned when he saw this. Wei Min, Wei Zhe, Hong Ling, and Luo Jiechen were stunned as well. The head butler of the Wei clan was also stunned. However, just as everyone was stunned, they heard a sniper rifle sweep toward Yin Jian. At that moment, Yin Jian tilted her head. In the next second, she pulled out 2 butterfly knives from her thighs and held them in her hands. With the blades pointed downwards, she rushed into the Wei residence's entrance. But in the next second, Yin Jian's actions frightened the few people who couldn't react in time. Their faces turned ashen. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile reading website. Chapter 2340. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Guessing Yin Jian's True Identity, page 1/1. In front of everyone present, Yin Jian held the butterfly knives tightly with both hands. The blades of the knives were pointed downwards as she dodged the sniper's bullets. It was as if she knew exactly what path the sniper would take to shoot her. Left, right, front, back. Every dodge was a dangerous move. She managed to avoid the sniper's bullets from afar. There were a few times when she missed by just a few millimeters and would have died. As for the snipers who were shooting at Yin Jian, it was obvious that they were going to kill her. The bullets from the sniper were like a scene in a rain of bullets. Dozens of people were sniping at Yin Jian from high up in the air, and Yin Jian was always able to escape at the crucial moment of life and death. Her skills, her capability, and her various performances were as if she was born in a world of bullets and bullets. Just as she had said earlier, she had said that Ling Qianqian's life was something she had never dared to imagine before. In her world, as long as she dared to close her eyes and sleep, someone would send her to her death. If she wanted to live, her hands had to be stained with blood. In order to live, she would not hesitate to kill everyone around her, including her friends. In the past, Luo Jiejun and the others did not believe Yin Jian's words. Who did she think she was? A world-class figure? Someone wanted to kill her just because she was asleep. But just now Luo Jiejun, Wei Zhe, and the others suddenly realized something. When they saw Yin Jian moving so nimbly in the rain of bullets, they were stunned. Their first reaction after being stunned was panic. They had heard from the Wei family's butler that the group of people had kidnapped Wei Xiao to capture the Wei family's youngest daughter, Wei Lin. Just as everyone was thinking about this, Yin Jian entered the Wei family's house under the sniper's bullets and disappeared before everyone's eyes. Luo Jiejun, Wei Zhe, and the others were scared pale. Part of the reason was because of Yin Jian's ability to dodge bullets. Another part was because Yin Jian's actions were exactly the same as the world she had described not long ago. She was someone from the Rain of Bullets. Then who was her true identity? Luo Jiejun furrowed his brows. His face was full of shock. He looked in the direction Yun Jian went and fell into deep thought. F***ck. 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 Wei Lin. Not only is she good at fixing phones, she's also amazing. Luo Jiejun Luo Mu, Luo translation for translation. Yun Jian's words Luo Jiao translation. Yun Jian translation. Yun Jian Luo. Translation. Is Yun Jian. Wei Min was also stunned. Then, she swallowed a mouthful of saliva and turned her head to Luo Jiejun. She asked Luo Jiejun in a trembling voice, Brother Jiejun, no matter how powerful she is, she's still no match for you, right? When she asked this, Wei Min spoke to Luo Jiejun in an uncertain tone, but she desperately hoped that she was speaking in the right tone. However, as soon as she said this, Wei Min heard Luo Jiejun speak. Based on what happened just now, I'm still not sure who's more powerful between me and her. But one thing I'm sure of is that if it were me, there's no way I'd be able to rush into the Wei family's house alive under so many sniper rifles. As soon as he said this, Wei Zhe, Hongling, Luo Jiejun, and Wei Min were all stunned. Then they all shut their mouths. The Wei family's youngest daughter, Wei Lin, who had been lost for 10 years and was finally found. Where had she been for the past 10 years? What kind of life had she been living? Why would her enemies come looking for her? What kind of identity and status did she have in the world she spoke of? Who exactly was she? Just as everyone was deep in thought, Hongling suddenly recalled something. He turned his head abruptly and looked at everyone. He immediately said in a shocked tone, Could it be as she said that she really came from an assassin organization? Translator, Atlas Studios editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2341. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, page 1/1. She's from an assassin organization. How is this possible? Wei Min refuted loudly and exaggeratedly before anyone could react to Hongling's words. How is that not possible? Min, I remember that your sister was only 8 years old when she was lost, right? Moreover, she was kidnapped into a van and taken away right in front of you. Their assassin organization likes to kidnap girls like this to train their assassins or agents. Your sister was only 8 years old then. It's normal for her to be sent to an assassin organization and undergo inhumane training. Hongling obviously had some understanding of the International Assassin Organization. That was why he was able to make such a clear statement in front of everyone. If Wei Lin was really from an assassin organization, it would not be unreasonable for her to be so powerful. However, everyone knew that the special agents or killers who could come out of the assassin organization were all very powerful people. Wei Min could not convince herself that Yun Jian was a powerful person. Why? She had been separated from Wei Lin for so many years. She received so much attention the moment she came back. She was even kidnapped to an assassin organization, and was even more powerful than her when she came back. This shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Then what was the point of her tricking the 8-year-old Wei Lin, and throwing her away? The people in the van did not pay attention to Hongling's words. Even Hongling himself was just spouting nonsense. However, no one expected Wei Min to react so strongly. For a moment, everyone in the van had their own thoughts. Around the Wei family mansion. There were many men with guns standing around the Wei family mansion. They were walking back and forth around the mansion. It was obvious that this group of people had Wei Xiao and the rest of the Wei family under control. At the back door of the Wei family mansion, 2 men with guns were walking back and forth. There were many people who looked the same as these 2 men standing around the Wei family mansion. Even if there was any news, it would not escape their eyes. Tsk tisk. Just then 2 soft sounds were heard. As soon as the sound rang out, a gust of wind blew past and covered the subtle sound of a knife piercing into a person's flesh. 2 butterfly knives stabbed into the hearts of the 2 men who were walking around the back door of the Wei residence with guns in their hands. A figure rolled out from the bushes. Yin Jian pulled out the butterfly knife from the two men's hearts. The two men didn't even have time to make a sound before they breathed their last. After putting away the butterfly knife, Yin Jian grabbed the back of the two men's collars and threw them into the tall grass. Then she flashed into the Wei family's villa. Outside the Wei family's villa, there were so many people waiting to capture Yin Jian that not even a fly could sneak into the Wei family's villa. However, no one knew that someone had already snuck into the back door of the Wei clan's villa. The Wei clan's main hall. The old master of the Wei clan, Wei Xiao, and his wife, Wang Ruoya, were tied up in the middle of the Wei clan's main hall. Standing in front of him was an old man in his 60s. This old man, who was about 60 years old, was standing in place with a face full of hatred. He saw the Wei family's door open and a subordinate walk in. When he saw his subordinate, the old man frowned and asked, "Is she dead?" "No." 30 snipers locked onto her at the same time, but she dodged all the bullets from the sniper rifles. She escaped. The subordinate's heart trembled as he spoke in fear. "Trash." The old man walked over and kicked the underling in the abdomen, sending the underling flying 10 meters away. Wei Xiao and his wife, Wang Ruoya, couldn't help but tremble in fear when they heard the subordinate's words. 30 snipers had attacked a single person, yet that person had still managed to escape alive. Who was this person to have such heaven-defying strength? Just as everyone in the hall was panicking, an indifferent female voice suddenly rang out. Her flat and indifferent words startled the fear in everyone's hearts. "The boss of T-Nation's underground black market, Limu. You're really in the mood. I haven't settled the score with you for the failed assassination last time, and you've come knocking on my door today?" Translator, Atlas Studios Editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2342. Page 1/1. That's right, Limu was the boss of Country T's underground black market. He was also the mastermind behind the assassination attempt on Yin Jian a few days ago. A few days ago, the group of people suddenly fired machine guns at Yin Jian, but Yin Jian snatched the machine guns away. Just as she was about to reveal the mastermind behind the assassination attempt, she said the word, and was shot from a high altitude. At the same time, as the boss of Country T's underground black market, Limu was also the biological father of Xianyu, whom Yin Jian killed in Marilena's tomb. Outsiders only knew that Xianyu worked for Country T's underground black market boss Limu, but they didn't know that Limu was Xianyu's biological father. Today, Limu found Yin Jian and sent people to assassinate Yin Jian. It wasn't hard to explain that he wanted to take revenge on Yin Jian for his son Xianyu. Woo woo woo. Woo woo. When Wang Ruoya saw Yin Jian, she almost fainted. Because her mouth was covered, Wang Ruoya could only blow air into her mouth. Yin Jian's current identity was Wang Ruoya's youngest daughter, Wei Lin. When Wang Ruoya saw Yin Jian, she thought that she had come back to die, so she tried her best to make Yin Jian leave as soon as possible. Wei Xiao knew that Yin Jian wasn't her biological daughter, so she didn't have much of a reaction. When Limu saw Yin Jian, his entire body trembled. Then Limu's subordinates, who were armed with machine guns, surrounded Yin Jian as well. Limu did not expect Yin Jian to avoid being surrounded by the people he had brought with him outside the Wei family's villa, and arrive at the living room so quickly. His expression changed abruptly. "As expected, you're just like your son Xianyu. You have a strong presence, but in reality, you're a useless piece of trash." In front of Limu's subordinates who were holding machine guns, Yin Jian crossed her arms lazily and pursed her lips. She didn't look afraid at all. How do you know Xianyu is my son?" Limu was stunned and wanted to say something. In the eyes of outsiders, Xianyu and Limu's relationship was just Xianyu following Limu's gang. That was all. The number of people who knew that Xianyu was his biological son could be counted on one hand. The strength of the young girl in front of him had greatly exceeded his expectations. Just as Limu was about to speak, Yin Jian didn't give him the chance. Facing the dozen or so machine guns in front of her, she took 2 steps forward without a hint of fear, then spoke to Limu in front of everyone. "Old thing, didn't you investigate me before you sent someone to assassinate me?" When Limu heard Yin Jian's words, his heart skipped a beat. He really didn't investigate Yun Jian's specific identity. But after he found out that Yun Jian killed his son, he immediately sent people to assassinate Yun Jian. What do you mean by that? Li Mu's heart trembled when he heard Yun Jian's words. Wei Xiao knew that Yun Jian wasn't his biological daughter, especially when he found out that Li Mu was the boss of Country Tea's underground black market. Wei Xiao was even more suspicious of Yun Jian's true identity. She actually offended the boss of Country Tea's underground black market. However, after listening to their conversation, Wei Xiao's heart trembled violently. So you really didn't investigate me, Yun Jian sneered. Her words sent a chill down Li Mu's spine. He instinctively called the informant who found out that Yun Jian was the one who killed Xinyu. When Li Mu asked the informant about Yun Jian's specific information and heard his reply, the phone in Li Mu's hand fell to the ground. He looked at Yun Jian, his face pale with fright. You. Translator, Atlas Studios editor, Atlas Studios. Chapter 2343. Li Mu did investigate Yun Jian, but he didn't investigate Yun Jian's identity. He only found out that Yun Jian was the person who killed his son Xinyu. She was just a little girl in her teens. What could she possibly do? Li Mu didn't even investigate Yun Jian's actual identity. He only investigated Yun Jian's basic identity before he brought his men to assassinate Yun Jian. Li Mu almost went crazy because he wanted to avenge his son Xinyu. But he forgot to use his authority to investigate Yun Jian's identity on the biggest intelligence platform. There was an international intelligence platform that specialized in collecting information. It was connected to the Kosha mercenaries intelligence team. This intelligence platform was formed by many internationally renowned intelligence groups, such as Gusha Mercenaries Intelligence Group. It was an integrated platform. And on this intelligence platform, any information, even international news, as long as one paid, could be inquired about. It could be said that this was the gathering point of the intelligence platform. The informant who answered Li Mu's call just now was the staff of the intelligence platform who had found out that Yun Jian was the one who killed Xinyu after his death. When Li Mu looked at Yun Jian, his face was pale with fright. Wei Xiao and Wang Ruoya were confused. Li Mu's subordinates were stunned and didn't know what to do. Dad. Mom. A panicked female voice came from the bathroom in the living room. Everyone turned to look and saw Wei Min standing near the bathroom not far from the living room. She was looking at Li Mu and his men with fear in her eyes. The Wei family was like the Luo family and Hong family, one of the three big families in Puluo City. They all relied on the underworld to make their fortune. In the beginning, they were worried that they would be hunted down by their enemies if they switched to the legal side. So when the Wei family villa was being built, they built an underground secret tunnel. Wei Min and her men used the underground secret tunnel to avoid the group of people outside the Wei family villa and return to the Wei family villa. Woo. Woo. Wei Xiao didn't react when he saw Yun Jian, but when he saw his daughter Wei Min and son Wei Zhe bringing a group of friends back to the Wei family, he started to shake his head desperately to signal them to run. But Wei Min didn't understand her father's meaning at all. She looked at Li Mu with fear and said to Li Mu, "Let go of my dad. Wei Lin caused this trouble, don't implicate my parents." As she spoke, Wei Min turned to Yun Jian and spat with a hateful glare. "Yun Jian, you're the one who's going to die. Wei Lin, you're too much. I really wanted you to come back to the Wei family, but you actually wanted to harm father and mother because of you." Before Wei Min could finish her words, Li Mu was the international intelligence platform was one of the top 10 public in the world. Is one of the top 10 people in the world. Most people knew about the international intelligence platform. Even Luo Jiejun, Wei Zhe, and Wei Min knew about it. Everyone knew that the international intelligence platform was a place where you could get all the information you wanted as long as you were willing to pay the corresponding price. However, there was an exception in the international intelligence platform. That was, there were 10 public biographies and ambiguous portraits posted in the center of the international intelligence platform. The 10 resumes and portraits represented 10 people. These 10 people were the public figures of the International Intelligence Platform. No matter how much money the employer offered, the people of the International Intelligence Platform wouldn't dare to investigate their identities. It could be said that even the people of the International Intelligence Platform didn't dare to provoke those 10 people. They were afraid and terrified of them. That was a symbol of power, status, and identity. Limu's words spread throughout the venue, causing everyone to be stunned. However, before everyone could react to Limu's words, Limu had already stared at Yunjian in front of everyone. Once again, he used a voice that was trembling with fear to ask Yunjian. Just now, the people of the International Intelligence Platform said that you're one of them. You're really one of the top 10 people in the world that they can't afford to provoke out of the 10 public portraits of the International Intelligence Platform. Please remember the domain name of this book. Mobile version of reading website. Chapter 2344. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Page 1/1 Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. The International Intelligence Platform was located in the busiest part of Country M, and at the entrance of the first floor of the International Intelligence Platform's central building, there were 10 portraits of people that everyone knew. Some of the portraits only had a black shadow and a rough outline, and it was hard to tell if the person was male or female. However, all 10 portraits had their own unique characteristics. For example, they held a weapon that they were used to using, or they had a symbolic tattoo on their body, or they had a broken finger, or they had a scar on their face. However, there was no doubt that the people in the portraits were all people whose names were enough to make the International Intelligence Platform tremble. At the bottom of the 10 portraits, there were also simple biographies of the people in the portraits, which were known to all. Moreover, these 10 portraits were marked with the words "one of the top 10 most untouchable people in the world." Furthermore, the International Intelligence Platform's people publicly stated that no intelligence team would dare to investigate the people in the portraits. No matter how much money they offered, they would refuse to investigate the people in the portraits. This matter was not considered a secret. It was made public on the International Intelligence Platform, and anyone who knew a little about it knew about it. Therefore, when Limu repeated the same words to Yunjian, whether it was Luo Jiejun, Luo Jiechen, Wei Zhe, Wei Min, Hongling, or even Wei Xiao and his wife Wang Ruoya, who were tied up and gagged by Limu's people, all of them were stunned. When everyone heard Limu repeat the same words, they were stunned on the spot, their mouths forming an O shape, their eyes unblinking, and their expressions changing drastically. Not to mention Luo Jiejun and the others, even Limu's group of brothers were stunned. They held their machine guns in their hands and did not move an inch. Everyone's expression could not escape the word fear. When Luo Jiejun heard this, he was the first to recover from his shock, and he was the first to speak to Limu in shock. The International Intelligence Platform's people said that she was one of the people in the portraits? The International Intelligence Platform you're talking about, is it the famous International Intelligence Platform formed by all the major international intelligence teams? Luo Jiejun rarely asked questions with such a stunned expression. Luo Jiejun, the young master of the Luo family and the future heir of the Luo group, who had always been mature and steady, had the demeanor of doing great things, uttered such words with such an expression. This was the first time Wei Min had seen something like this since she was young. Therefore, even Wei Min, who did not know about the 10 portraits on the International Intelligence Platform, had an incredible feeling for a moment. That's right, it's that platform. Limu panicked. Just now, when he asked the staff of the International Intelligence Platform Center to investigate Yunjian's identity, the staff of the International Intelligence Platform Center directly refused him. They also said that Yunjian was one of the 10 portraits, so the International Intelligence Platform Center, which claimed to be the world's top intelligence platform, had no way of tracking down Yunjian's specific identity. Limu was, after all, someone who had been through a lot. He knew very well that in this world, if he met a strong opponent, he could not fight them head-on. "I'm sorry for offending you just now. I hope you can forgive me," About my son Xinyu. I'll use the previous 2 unintentional assassinations as compensation. From now on, we don't owe each other anything. Let's go. Li Mu immediately saluted Yun Jian, then gestured for his men to walk towards the door. Luo Jiajun, Wei Zhe, Wei Min, and the rest instantly heaved a sigh of relief. Regardless of whether Yun Jian was one of the 10 portraits on the international intelligence platform or not, it was a good thing that Li Mu decided to stop, so this matter would not implicate the Wei family. However, just as Luo Jiajun and the rest thought that Yun Jian was purposely minimizing this matter, they saw Yun Jian standing at the same spot in front of everyone. She said arrogantly to Li Mu, who had yet to rush out of the Wei family's door, "I'll give you 1 hour. If you can escape from Z country's borders, I'll let you go. If you can't, then go to hell." Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. Chapter 2345. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. How arrogant. How arrogant. She was more than arrogant. Everyone heard Yun Jian's words, especially Luo Jiajun, Wei Zhe, and Wei Min. Even if she really was one of the 10 portraits of the international intelligence platform that Li Mu had mentioned, and was listed as one of the top 10 most untouchable people in the world, she was only one person. What about Li Mu and his men? They were armed with lethal weapons and a large group of people. Yun Jian was outnumbered. Li Mu had just spared the Wei family, and turned to leave when Yun Jian called out to him again, and said such words. She's crazy. The boss of Country T's black market had already retreated, but she still called out to him and said such provocative words. I really treat Lin as my sister, but not only are we still here, even our parents are still trapped. She wants to send us into the fire pit. Wei Min hid behind Luo Jiajun, Wei Zhe, and Hong Ling. To an outsider, Wei Min's words sounded right. She was praising Yun Jian in front of Luo Jiajun and the rest. Wei Min did not dare to say these words loudly. She only dared to say them in front of Luo Jiajun and the rest to sow discord. As for Li Mu, after hearing Yun Jian's words, he stopped in his tracks. Pausing, Li Mu was taken aback. He did not reply to Yun Jian after that as he led his men outside. Not long after, the battlefield that seemed to be filled with smoke quickly returned to normal. Dad. Mom. Wei Min was the first to rush up and untie Wei Xiao and Wang Ruoya's bindings and gagged mouths. Yun Jian did not even look at Wei Xiao and Wang Ruoya as she walked up the stairs. Wei Lin, you're too much. Mom and Dad are tied up here because of you. After that person left with his men, you didn't even care about them and just walked up the stairs. You're too inhumane. Wei Zhe called out Yun Jian's name. His face was dark as he spoke. As Yun Jian's elder brother in name, Wei Zhe looked at Yun Jian and asked in dissatisfaction after he said that. What do you think? What's going on with you? What's with the 10 portraits of the international intelligence platform? What's going on? Now that Mom and Dad are here, you'd better explain yourself. What did you do before you returned to the Wei family? What was your identity? Tell me clearly before you leave. What Wei Zhe said was what Luo Jiajun, Hong, and Luo Jiachen wanted to know as well. Hence, everyone looked at Yun Jian with scrutiny after Wei Zhe spoke. Yun was. She was halfway up the stairs when she heard Wei Zhe. She was already halfway. She was. She was. Then, she turned around in front of everyone and stared at them coldly. Suddenly, she uttered something that sent chills down their spines. From today onwards, don't let me hear any of you asking about my past. Otherwise, this day next year will be the anniversary of your death. It did not sound like a joke. After hearing this, the few people present trembled violently. No one said a word as they watched Yun Jian disappear down the stairs. An hour later, in Yun Jian's bedroom, pressing the button to answer the call, Qing Yu's voice came from the other end. Sister Jian, Li Mu and the others have escaped from Country Z within an hour. Yun Jian pressed her lips together when she heard what Qing Yu said as her eyes flickered. They had really escaped from Country Z within an hour? In the next second, Yunjian ordered Qingyu softly with a smirk. Kill them with all you've got. Don't leave a single one alive. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Chapter 2346. Shi Yunjian had never been a good person who kept her word. The words "keep your promises" had always been targeted at the target. For a weed who had tried to assassinate her twice, Yunjian's usual practice was to not leave a single strand of it alive. Yes. Qingyu, who was familiar with Yunjian, nodded when she heard Yunjian's words and agreed with Yunjian decisively. Yunjian hung up the call and tossed her phone to the bedside table before closing her eyes to sleep. Yunjian woke up early the next day. She got out of bed early and went for a morning run to the academy as usual. There were already many classmates in the classroom when she first entered the academy. Yunjian walked to her seat with practiced ease. Morning. Luo Jiechen stood up to greet Yunjian. When he saw her today, he greeted Yunjian almost immediately. Yunjian nodded and returned to her seat. Nothing worth mentioning happened until the night before the fencing competition. School ended very late that night, mainly because Yunjian's class teacher had delayed the class, so it was almost 9 o'clock when school ended. Yunjian walked out at 9 o'clock at night. Luo Jiechen followed behind Yunjian like a shadow. At the same time, he chuckled at Yunjian. Wei Lin, I didn't expect you to be so amazing. I don't mean anything else. I'm not trying to find out about your process. I'm just telling you about it. Also, I'll be your underling from now on. The kind that follows behind your butt, hee. Luo Jiechen was still following Yunjian to the academy's entrance. They were only halfway there. The sound of a police siren suddenly rang out. Yunjian raised her eyebrows. A police car sped into the academy. I heard that someone died in the toilet. They're all dead now. It seems like a suicide or a homicide. The police car is here now. What? Someone died in our academy. This can't be real, right? How could it be fake? During the last night's self-study class, a girl in our class needed to pee and went to the toilet. Guess what happened? She walked into the toilet and opened a toilet door. Just as she was about to use the toilet, she found a corpse. The people who came back were scared silly. After the school confirmed it, they immediately called the police. Oh my God! Is that a student from our school committing suicide? Who knows? Probably. Two girls walked past them and were talking in a very soft voice. Although their voices were soft, Yunjian and Luo Jiechen were both martial artists. They immediately heard what the two girls were saying. F*CK. I was wondering why it was so noisy during the last night's self-study session. It was as if something big had happened. He's dead. Luo Jiechen was shocked when he heard what the two girls said. Yunjian's eyes moved, but her face was calm as if it had nothing to do with her. Let's go. Yunjian walked out of the academy. When something like this happened, the most innocent party was the school, and the most pitiful ones were the students' parents. However, she still had to go home. The next morning, Yunjian went to school as usual. However, because of the murder, the school had to postpone the fencing competition. Since last night, the police and related personnel had been working through the night. They had not been able to close their eyes until now. Their spirit was indeed commendable. In the middle of the class, two police officers suddenly appeared outside the classroom. Everyone in the classroom was shocked when they saw the police officers. At the same time, a younger police officer walked into the classroom. He scanned the classroom and immediately asked, "Hello everyone." "Hello students. Is there a student called Wei Lin in your class? Can you ask her to come out for a moment? Please remember the domain name of this book, .com. Wonderful book mobile version website, .com. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.